Chapter 893. The Saint Artifact shone with a faint golden light, borrowing the force from the powerful attacks of the 7 Holy Emperor experts. It quickly flew into the distance. It moved extremely quickly, disappearing into the distance in the blink of an eye. After it, the 4 divine generals of the Serpent God Hall and the 3 disciplinary elders of the Heaven's Spirit Hall all pursued. Although the Saint Artifact had already vanished from their sight, they could still find traces of it through its presence. However, at this moment, the 7 of them had other thoughts aside from wanting to take Jianqin back. They were greedy for the Saint Artifact. Even experts at their level would be tempted by a treasure that could withstand a powerful attack from 7 Holy Emperor experts at the 5th heavenly layer and store a living person in it. Stop them! Lei Batian called out. He, Qing Yishuan, Mo Ziren, and O Yun did their best to stop the 7 of them. However, the 4 of them would occasionally glance in the direction where the Saint Artifact had vanished. The light in their eyes flickered. Even Lei Batian and the other 3 became rather tempted by such a wondrous treasure. However, they did not forget their mission. They did not forget that Jianqin's group had been personally ordered by the Hall Master of the Poseidon Hall to bring them back safely. After the Saint Artifact carried Jianqin's group several hundred kilometers away, the residual force finally vanished. It slowed down as well, and with a flash of light, Jianqin's group of 3 appeared out of nowhere. Afterwards, the Saint Artifact immediately shot into Jianqin's forehead as a golden streak of light, disappearing. The Saint Artifact is slower than us. We can't remain in it forever. If the people of the Serpent God Hall and Heaven's Spirit Hall obtain it and take it back to their divine halls, we'll be in deep trouble, Jianqin said with a deep voice. The Hall Masters of the Serpent God Hall and Heaven's Spirit Hall were both peak Holy Emperor experts. They possessed the strength to destroy the Saint Artifact. Looks like the 8 human experts have been sent by His Highness Poseidon to capture us. Fortunately, you haven't offended His Highness Poseidon, or there would be no place for us in the vast sea realm. Let's go quickly and reach His Highness Poseidon's territory as soon as possible. Evil King Xia said sternly. Xia Wang sternly said. His voice was slightly panicked. It was very difficult for him to remain calm as he faced the pursuit of 7 5th heavenly layer Saint Kings. Jianqin's group of 3 immediately pushed their speed to the limit. They were only 100,000 kilometers away from His Highness Poseidon's territory now. But very soon, 3 tremendous presences appeared behind them. The 3 experts shook off Lei Batian and the others and quickly pursued Jianqin's group. Lei Batian and the others pursued them closely in an attempt to keep the experts chasing after Jianqin's group of 3 busy. Behind Lei Batian's group of 4 were 4 experts from the Serpent God Hall and Heaven's Spirit Hall. They wanted to keep Lei Batian's group busy so that the other 3 could stop Jianqin's group. The 2 sides rapidly approached Jianqin's group as they pursued. A total of 11 boundless auras flew over countless tribes and clans in an unbridled manner. Along the way, they alarmed many experts of the sea race, causing a huge commotion. A battle between 11 16-star experts was an extremely rare occurrence in the sea world. It would only happen once in 1,000 years, so what happened here would definitely spread across the entire sea realm. For a moment, many saint rulers followed the 11 experts from the 3 halls from afar. There were a few Holy Emperor experts among them as well. They had all come to watch the show, so none of them dared to interfere. Jianqin's group of 3 became extremely worried when they saw the 3 Holy Emperor chasing after them. The Holy Emperor experts behind them were much faster than them. If this continued, the experts of the Heaven's Spirit Hall and Serpent God Hall would probably catch up to them before they even made it to Poseidon's Hall. Nubis became determined. He gritted his teeth. I'll burn my essence to take the 2 of you with me. With that, golden flames immediately erupted from Nubis' body. Although the flames did not have any heat, they were extremely eye-catching in the Azure Sea realm. They shone like the sun. Nubis burned his essence to obtain a speed that exceeded his own. Afterward, he shot off as a golden comet with Jianqin and Xiaowang. Even though Nubis did not want to do this, he had no other choice now. Nubis's body surged with golden flames as his essence was rapidly consumed. His flesh withered at a visible rate as he shrank. As his essence was consumed, Nubis's presence weakened bit by bit. His strength was declining, but his speed had reached a terrifying level. He was already comparable to the Holy Emperor, a supreme expert at the fourth heavenly layer. Even though Nubis's speed was still slower than his pursuers after burning his essence, he was still able to put up a struggle at the very least. The pursuers would not be able to catch up to them in a short amount of time. Bastard! How did they increase their speed so quickly? The expressions of the three pursuers changed. They were only 30,000 kilometers away from the territory of the Poseidon's Hall. Quick, quick, quick! We're about to reach the territory of the Poseidon's Hall. As long as we reach the territory of the Poseidon's Hall, we'll be safe. Nubis, Xiaowang, and Xiaowang were worried as well. They stared straight ahead. The three holy emperors were only around 30 kilometers away, but the three holy emperors no longer dared to attack Jianqin's group from afar. They were afraid that not only would they fail to injure the three of them, they would even assist them instead. After another 15 minutes, Nubis, Xiaowang, and Xiaowang finally arrived at the border between the territories of the Heaven's Spirit Hall and the Poseidon's Hall. They were about to leave the Heaven's Spirit Hall, while the three holy emperors of the Serpent God Hall and the Heaven's Spirit Hall were only 10 kilometers away. Don't let them pass through the border. Lock down the space there, a divine general called out. At that moment, the three of them from different organizations worked together with great teamwork and locked down the space there. Immediately, the space around them rapidly froze. They wanted to trap Jianqin, Xiaowang, and Xiaowang, so they could not escape. However, locking down 10 kilometers of space was not so simple. Even though they were holy emperors, it was impossible for them to complete it in a single moment. The frozen space rapidly extended forward, catching up to Jianqin's group before long. Nubis, faster! Jianqin called out in a hurry. They were extremely close to the border now. God damn it! The frozen space is about to catch up to us. Faster! Xia Wang also panicked as he called out in a panic. Nubis clenched her teeth and bellowed out. The golden flames on her burned even brighter, and she charged forward even faster than before. In the end, she successfully passed through the border before the frozen space could catch up, arriving in the territory of the Poseidon Hall. However, before the three of them could rejoice, the rapidly solidifying space actually crossed the boundary between the two worlds and directly enveloped the three of them. It firmly immobilized them. The hearts of Jianqin's group immediately sank as their faces became extremely ugly. If the people of the Heavens, Spirit Hall, and Serpent God Hall did not abide by the agreement between the territories and set foot in the Poseidon Hall, it would be very difficult for them to escape alive today. Disciplinary Elder of the Heavens, Spirit Hall, Divine General of the Serpent God Hall, as members of the Divine Halls, are you not going to abide by the agreement between the three Divine Halls and attack the people in the territory of the Poseidon Hall? Libation's heavy voice rang out from behind. His voice was filled with anger. The three experts who had trapped Jianqin's group completely ignored Libation's words. The three of them crossed the border at the same time and arrived in the territory of the Poseidon Hall. They each grabbed Jianqin's group and wanted to pull them out of the territory of the Poseidon Hall. It's over now. Xia Wang sighed inside as the flames of hope in his heart were immediately extinguished. Even Nubis and Jianqin's faces became extremely sunken. They had spent so much effort to escape the pursuit of the 7 experts to the territory of the Poseidon Hall, but they never thought that they would still be captured in the end. The 3 experts each grabbed Jianqin's group by the shoulders and were about to drag them back to the territory of the Heaven's Spirit Hall. However, in the next moment, all 3 of their faces changed drastically. Shock filled their faces. This was because they had suddenly discovered that the three of them had been restrained by a mysterious force silently. They could not move at all. The three of them possessed the strength of the fifth heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor in the first place. Even with the entire sea realm in perspective, they were still a handful of peak experts. Just how powerful was the person who had restrained the three of them without them noticing? The three of them were astounded. This is the innate ability of the imperial family. It's an immobilization technique for controlling the body. A divine general of the Serpent God Hall cried out as his face paled. "Oh, no! Someone from the imperial family has secretly interfered and restrained us." An enforcement elder of the Heavens Spirit Hall understood very soon. He immediately cried out and sent a message to his companions. Lei Batian, Qing Yishuan, Mo Xiren, and O Yun crossed the border and returned to the territory of the Poseidon Hall. The remaining 4 experts of the Serpent God Hall and Heaven's Spirit Hall stopped at the edge of the Heaven's Spirit Hall. They stared at the 3 restrained experts in surprise and doubt, not daring to take a single step forward. "Humph, your Serpent God Hall and Heaven's Spirit Hall, sure, are bold to enter the territory of the Poseidon Hall without permission." A lively and gentle voice rang out in the air. A beautiful woman in a blue dress appeared out of thin air. Her beauty was enough to cause the downfall of nations. The woman was extremely delicate and pretty. Her blue hair cascaded down her back like a waterfall. She held a 1-meter-long blue staff in her hand, and her bare feet floated 100 meters in the air. Although she did not give off any aura, she seemed to have fused with the world. Chapter 894. It's a Hall Elder. Jianshan newbies and Xiaowang all raised their heads to look at the woman. Unconcealable surprise filled their faces. The Hall Elder before him was just far too young and far too beautiful. Even on the Tianyuan continent, her beauty could be counted on one hand. The greatest Hall Elder of the Poseidon Hall. Her strength is only second to the Hall Master, Atlantis. The 4 experts in the territory of the Heavens Spirit Hall stared at the woman in the air in shock as they all cried out, "Atlantis, it's actually Atlantis. She. Didn't she never leave the Sea God Palace? Why did she come here personally today?" The faces of the 3 experts who were restrained were pale, without a trace of blood. Atlantis' name was well known to them as 16th Star Elders. She was the undisputed 4th expert of the Sea Realm, having reached the peak of the 16th star many years ago. Her battle prowess was extremely great, and no one at the same level was her opponent. Only the Hall Masters of the 3 halls could suppress her. Without any exaggeration, Atlantis was the undisputed greatest expert of the Sea Realm aside from the Hall Masters of the 3 halls. It's over this time. I didn't think Atlantis would actually come here. Even if the 7 of us worked together, we would still die without a doubt. The 3 powerhouses who had been restrained were dejected and didn't have the slightest bit of temper left in them. They would be severely punished for trespassing in the territory of the Poseidon Hall. Although their lives would not be in any danger, it was extremely embarrassing for 16th star experts to be punished. They would no longer have the face to see anyone after they returned. In the blink of an eye, the situation changed with Atlantis' appearance. Not only did she deter the 7 experts of the 2 halls, but she also ensured the safety of Genshin and the other 2. Atlantis glanced past Genshin and the other 2 with an emotionless gaze. However, when her gaze landed on Genshin and newbies, she paused slightly. A sliver of surprise flashed through her eyes before disappearing. She then said to the 4 of them, "They're the Hall Master's people." "Yes, Hall Elders. They're the Hall Master's people, and they've been confirmed by the Abyssal Bird." "There's no mistake," Lei Batian replied with a muffled voice. "The Hall Master will see them immediately. The 4 of you are responsible for sending them back to the Divine Hall." Atlantis' voice was indifferent, without any ripples of emotion. With that, the invisible force that restrained Genshin and the other 2 vanished. allowing them to regain their freedom. "Yes, Hall Elders," Lei Batian replied respectfully. With a wave of his hand, an invisible force immediately enveloped Jianqin and the other two. "Wait!" Jianqin suddenly spoke up, causing Lei Batian to pause. He immediately cast a doubtful glance at him. Jianqin glared at a divine general standing in the territory of the Heaven's Spirit Hall and said with a deep voice, "Sir, shouldn't you return what you took from me?" The divine general had already put away the golden silk armor he had taken from Jianqin into his space ring. When he heard Jianqin's words, his expression immediately changed. He glanced at the hovering Atlantis, whose expression did not change at all. Deep fear appeared on his face. However, he understood very soon that he was still in the territory of the Heaven's Spirit Hall. He had not set foot in the territory of the Poseidon Hall. Even though Atlantis was very powerful, he would not dare to touch him. When he thought up to there, the divine general immediately became fearless. He sneered, It's not damaged at all after taking an attack from me. This armor is quite extraordinary. However, if you want your armor back, you'll have to exchange it with the items you've taken from us. Otherwise, don't even think about getting your armor back." With that, the divine general and his companion looked at each other before leaving. They flew towards the territory of the Serpent God Hall. The two of them did not pay too much attention to their companions who had been imprisoned by Atlantis because they already knew the fate of their companions. It was pointless for them to remain there, and it was extremely likely that they would be stopped by the experts of the Heaven's Spirit Hall. They would end up in the same situation as their companions who had set foot in the territory of the Poseidon Hall. It would not be worth it. Jianqin clenched his fists tightly as he stared at the two divine generals who had left. A cold light flickered through his eyes as he growled, "There will be a day when I make you regret what you've done today for the rest of your life." The golden silk armor was woven from the silk of the primordial god silkworm. It was an extremely rare treasure in the world. Jianqin had already understood its value from the sword spirits. It was an extremely powerful defensive treasure. For some reason, the golden silk armor could only block the attacks of saint rulers. However, Jianqin knew extremely well that the golden silk armor still hid a lot of potential. It had just not been activated yet. Its true defensive power was definitely not like this. "Let's go!" Lei Batian called out before leaving with Jianqin and the others. They directly made their way to the Poseidon Hall. After they had left, Atlantis coldly glanced past the three experts she had imprisoned. She said emotionlessly, "The three of you will come with me to the Poseidon Hall. The Hall Master will deal with you." Atlantis gently waved her wand, and a blue halo immediately enveloped the three of them, sealing their strength. It then turned into a blue ribbon that connected to Atlantis' hand. Atlantis held 3 ribbons that had turned into ropes and pulled the 3 of them towards the temple. Along the way, they attracted the curious gazes of many powerful beings who were passing by. They all pointed at them and whispered among themselves. At that moment, the 3 fifth heavenly layer Holy Emperor experts behind her even wanted to die. They were mighty 16th star experts, yet they had ended up in such a miserable state. The 3 of them were carried by the burly Lei Batian, so they moved extremely quickly. Beside them were Qing Yishuan, Mo Xiren, and O Yin, the 8 human experts who escorted them along the way. Nubes was pale and haggard. He was extremely weak. He had just burned his essence in exchange for greater speed, which had taken an extremely great toll on him. His strength had decreased by quite a lot, going from half a step away from becoming a holy emperor to a 9th heavenly layer saint ruler. I've finally been saved. What I've experienced this time is the proudest thing of my life. I actually managed to escape from the pursuit of 7 16th star experts. Nubes was filled with joy. As soon as he thought about the life he had gone through as a fugitive, he felt like he was living in a dream. It was just so thrilling. He had never thought that a few mere saint kings would be able to successfully escape from the joint pursuit of several elders from the 2 divine halls. Looks like it was a wise choice for me to follow them. I've heard from the elders that the two of them seem to be rulers of some race. They have great statuses, so they shouldn't be lying to me. I think I'll definitely be able to obtain the divine water of the world again in 50 years, Nubis thought. The flames of hope reignited in his heart. He was no longer as pessimistic and despairing as before. Jianchen stared at the weak Nubis in concern. He asked, "Nubis, do you want to rest in the artifact space?" Nubis nodded. "That works too. I've used up some of my essence, so I need to replenish it as soon as possible, or there'll be repercussions. It'll affect me very greatly in the future." Jianchen no longer hesitated. With a thought, the saint artifact immediately shot out from between his eyebrows as a golden streak of light, landing in his hand. Afterward, he sucked Nubis into the artifact space. The saint artifact had already been exposed when he fled earlier, so there was no need for him to hide it anymore. The appearance of the saint artifact immediately attracted the gazes of Lei Batian and the others. They all stared at the golden tower in Jianchen's hand curiously. They could not help but ask, "Brother, what is this thing?" "It can actually store a living person." "How unbelievable." "This is something I obtained by chance. I only know its uses, but I don't know its origins or its exact name." Jianchen made up a random excuse. He did not dare to reveal the true origins of the saint artifact. There were no radiant saint masters in the sea realm at all. Once they were injured, they would have to use various healing medicines or rely on themselves to heal. It was extremely slow. If they learned the true origins of the saint artifact, the entire sea realm would probably be thrown into an uproar. The saint artifact disappeared into Jianchen's forehead as a golden streak of light. Lei Batian and the others immediately widened their eyes at such a wondrous sight. Disbelief filled their faces. "Little brother, could it be that this thing is still in his head?" Oh Yin, one of the 8 great human powerhouses, said dumbfoundedly. This had completely overturned his understanding. Jianchen nodded, but he did not explain in detail. "What a wondrous treasure!" Mo Ziren sighed emotionally. However, none of them noticed that Qing Yishuan's face had become unsettled. The light in her eyes flickered. Who knew what she was thinking? After flying for half a day, Lei Batian finally arrived at the Poseidon Hall with Jianchen. The Poseidon Hall was located in the center of the territory. It was an extremely huge divine hall that hovered in the air. It gave off a dignified presence. At the very top of the divine hall stood a huge statue that was 300 meters tall. It was like a god, sacred and inviolable. The statue was of a woman whose face was obscured. It was extremely lifelike. The upper half of the woman was human, while the lower half was fish. It was a strange combination of being half human and half fish. The moment he saw the statue, Jianchen even felt like he was seeing an illusion. It was as if he was not looking at a statue, but a world. Jianchen understood that the woman in the statue must have reached an extremely high level of cultivation when she was alive. Otherwise, she would never have made him feel like that. The person carved on the statue is the great Poseidon of the sea race. He's the only expert who has surpassed the Holy Emperor's level of cultivation in all these years. In ancient times, he was on par with the greatest human expert, Mo Tianyin, the ancient winged tiger and the war god of the 100 races, Lei Batian explained. "Poseidon," Jianchen murmured. He felt like the statue gave him a familiar feeling. Chapter 895. With the medallion in hand, Lei Batian brought Jianchen and Xiaowang to the divine hall that hovered in the air. They directly entered it. The shrine was huge, with thousands of palaces, pavilions, terraces, and pagodas everywhere. Exotic flowers and rare herbs were planted everywhere, emitting a faint fragrance that filled the entire shrine. Just a whiff of it would make people feel relaxed and happy. Their minds would become clear in an instant, and it had the effect of stabilizing their qi. Jianchen and Xia Wang moved through the various palaces with Lei Batian, Qing Yishuan, Ouyun, and Mo Ziren. They made their way to the depths of the divine hall. Along the way, they could see groups of uniformed guards patrolling the divine hall. At the same time, Jianqin could sense the existence of many experts in the surrounding palaces. Saint rulers were everywhere, and there were even quite a few Holy Emperor-level experts. All of them were cultivating in their own palaces. Jianqin constantly stared at the floor as he stepped on the blue marble. He glanced at the surrounding buildings from time to time as deep shock filled his eyes. With the powerful senses of his soul, he could clearly sense an extremely terrifying energy hidden within the entire divine hall, whether it was the structures in the surroundings or the floor beneath his feet. The powerful energy constantly tempered every single brick and tile. After many years of accumulation, the structures in the divine hall had become extraordinarily tough. Even if Jianqin used his full strength, he would not be able to leave behind a single mark on them. At this moment, an old man covered in wrinkles walked over. Lei Batian and the others hurriedly clasped their hands and bowed when they saw the old man. They said, "Greetings, Hall Elder." The old man glanced past Jianqin and Xia Wang before looking at Lei Batian and asking, "Are these the two people the Hall Master brought back safely?" "Correct. They're the people the Hall Master is looking for," replied Lei Batian. He glanced at Jianqin and Xia Wang from time to time. He was extremely curious as to why the Hall Master valued these two saint rulers so much. The old man stared at Jianqin and Xia Wang in interest. He said, "Which one of you is Jianqin?" "Esteemed Hall Elder, I am Jianqin," said Jianqin. Jianqin took a step forward and clasped his hands at the old man. He was extremely polite. If the old man was on the Tianyuan continent, he would be an extremely terrifying existence. Even with the Tianyuan continent in perspective, he would be a supreme expert that could be counted on one hand. The old man studied Jianqin with glowing eyes as he thought to himself, "Aren't you just a king who hasn't matured yet? Why is the Hall Master taking such good care of you?" Not only did he send Lei Batian and the other 16-star experts to the Heaven's Spirit Hall to save you, but even Atlantis, who hasn't left the Divine Hall for a very long time, has personally come to the border for you. I really don't understand why the Hall Master is spending so much effort on the two of you. Jianqin, come with me. The Hall Master wants to see you personally." The old man said to Jianqin indifferently before turning around and leaving. With his great status, he could not be bothered to waste his breath on two puny saint rulers. "Jianqin, go with the Hall Elder. Remember, the Hall Master is an expert at the level of the Holy Emperor. You must show some respect when you see him," Lei Batian said to Jianqin through a communication technique. Jianqin nodded slightly, then silently followed behind the Divine Hall Elder, leaving behind the evil king, Lei Batian, and the others to stare at his departing figure. Jianqin followed the Hall Elder to the depths of the Divine Hall without any obstructions. Afterward, he entered a splendidly decorated hall. Two saint ruler guards stood at the entrance like statues. They're actually using a saint ruler as a guard. "The Sea Goddess Hall sure is generous," said Yi Futian. Jianqin was secretly surprised. An expert like that would be a peak expert who could dominate an entire region in the outside world. Jianqin followed the Hall Elder into the hall. The large hall was empty. Aside from a slender woman sitting on a throne at the very front, there was no one else. The Hall Elder respectfully bowed to the woman on the throne and said, "Hall Master, Jianqin has been brought here." "Elder Hong, you can leave." The woman's voice was extremely gentle and pleasant. Yes, the Hall Elder slowly retreated. "Is this the Hall Master of Poseidon, one of the 3 Holy Emperor realm experts of the Sea Realm?" Jianqin studied the woman on the throne curiously. The woman's azure clothes tightly wrapped around her figure. Her blue hair flowed down like a waterfall. It was not adorned at all, casually draping over her shoulders. Her appearance was a blur where it was impossible to see clearly. Her true appearance seemed to be shrouded by a layer of mist. Even though he was facing a Holy Emperor realm expert, Genshin did not sense any aura from the Hall Master of Poseidon. He gave off an amiable feeling. Junior, Genshin greets the esteemed Hall Master. Genshin quickly calmed down and clasped his hands towards the woman on the throne. Boom! A muffled sound rang out from behind. The door of the hall had already closed, cutting off all auras and sights from the outside. At this moment, only Genshin and the Hall Master of Poseidon were present in the large hall. The Hall Master of Poseidon stood up from the throne and slowly walked towards Genshin with light steps. Immediately, a faint fragrance entered Genshin's nose, intoxicating him. Facing a Holy Emperor realm expert at such a close distance, Genshin found it very difficult to remain calm. His heart began to beat violently, clearly nervous. You are the person chosen by His Majesty. The Hall Master of Poseidon spoke in a soft voice, as if she was speaking to Genshin, but also as if she was muttering to herself. I actually can't sense the presence of the abyssal crystal from your space ring. Where did you put the abyssal crystal? Before Genshin could reply, the Hall Master continued. Abyssal crystal? Genshin was stunned, but he soon understood. He asked, Is the abyssal crystal that the Hall Master speaks of the key that gives off the blue light? Correct. The Hall Master of Poseidon circled around Genshin as she constantly studied Genshin. However, she wondered inside, is this the person chosen by His Majesty? Does he really have the ability to enter there? This junior is puzzled. I wonder what the abyssal crystal is. May I ask if the Hall Master can answer my questions? Genshin asked. The mysterious key had actually attracted the attention of the Heaven's Spirit Hall and the Serpent God Hall, which filled him with great curiosity about its origins and uses. His Majesty's time is almost up, so he locked himself up in the Supreme Divine Hall before moving it to the depths of the Sea of Despair. No one can find it. This key is the guide to finding the Supreme Divine Hall. As long as you obtain this key, you will be able to find the Supreme Divine Hall. The Hall Master of Poseidon did not hide anything and told Genshin the truth. I see. No wonder the Serpent God Hall and the Heaven's Spirit Hall have both come for this item. So they want to enter the Supreme Divine Hall and obtain the Sea Goddess legacy, Genshin murmured to himself as he came to a realization. Wrong. They have not entered the Supreme Divine Hall to obtain His Majesty's legacy. Although His Majesty's time is almost up, he has only lost his body. His soul has not been destroyed, so it has always remained in the Supreme Divine Hall. The Heaven's Spirit Hall and the Serpent God Hall only want to enter the Supreme Divine Hall and obtain His Majesty's soul. They want to devour His Majesty's soul and reach His Majesty's level of cultivation in the past. The Hall Master of Poseidon's words were shocking Genshin. What? The two divine halls want to devour Poseidon's soul? Genshin exclaimed. Disbelief filled his face. Poseidon was the sea goddess, an expert revered by everyone. Her subjects would actually do something like this. Sigh, His Majesty has already disappeared for far too long. With the passage of time, the deterrents he left behind can no longer affect the experts of the sea realm. In the past few years, every single Hall Master of the Serpent God Hall and the Heaven's Spirit Hall has tried their best to find the Supreme Divine Hall so that they can devour His Majesty's soul and reach a higher level of cultivation. However, the abyssal crystal can only be found in the depths of the Sea of Despair. That place is boundless, so it's very easy to get lost. It's extremely dangerous as well. Even emperors would face life-threatening danger if they set foot in there. As a result, the Supreme Divine Hall has been drifting in the Sea of Despair for countless years without anyone finding it. However, the abyssal crystal on you has shattered the peace of the sea realm. Genshin fell silent for a while as he slowly digested the information in his head. The information he had heard from the Hall Master of Poseidon had completely shattered Genshin's understanding of the situation in the sea realm. In the past, he had learned from Tianjin that Poseidon was still alive. Back then, he believed that Poseidon still retained his peak strength and was the greatest expert in the world, an existence that surpassed the Holy Emperor. However, the final outcome was completely unexpected. Although Poseidon was still alive, he had lost his physical body. Only his soul remained, and he could only hide in the Supreme Divine Hall, afraid to come out. He faced the threat of having his soul devoured by the Hall Masters of the Serpent God Hall and the Heaven's Spirit Hall at any time. Jianqin sucked in a deep breath and slowly calmed himself down. He stared at the Hall Master of Poseidon in interest and said, "Hall Master, do you want me to give the abyssal crystal to you?" The Hall Master of Poseidon paused. She turned around and stared at Jianqin. Although Jianqin could not see her appearance, he could clearly sense a sharp gaze fixed on him. It actually caused his eyes to ache slightly, as if he had been stabbed by a needle. "Jianqin, although the Serpent God Hall and the Heaven's Spirit Hall have ill intentions towards His Majesty, my Hall Master of Poseidon is absolutely loyal to him. For the sake of His Majesty's safety, you must hand over the abyssal crystal on you." "I will personally safeguard it for the time being," said the Hall Master of Poseidon. Jianqin hesitated for a while. He knew that he had no other choice, so he just took out the mysterious key and handed it to the Hall Master of Poseidon. "Jianqin, you may not be a part of my sea race, but you are someone chosen by His Majesty. His Majesty has even bestowed upon you an imperial knighten to conceal your presence. In the future, stay in Poseidon and focus on cultivating. Increase your strength as quickly as possible. I will bestow upon you a Divine Hall Elder Medallion. In the future, you will enjoy the same treatment as the other Divine Hall Elders in my hall," said the Hall Master of Poseidon. "Your Majesty, if I become a Divine Hall Elder, does that mean I won't be able to set foot in the territories of the Serpent God Hall and the Heaven's Spirit Hall?" Jianqin asked. "That's right. Our 3 territories have an agreement. Without their permission, no one from the Divine Hall can set foot in their territories. If that's the case, I don't want the Divine Hall Elder Medallion." Jianqin firmly declined the position of Divine Hall Elder. Compared to the golden threaded armor, the empty title of Divine Hall Elder was not worth mentioning. He would take back the golden threaded armor that the divine generals of the Serpent God Hall had taken away one day. Chapter 896. Jianqin declined the position of Hall Elder without any hesitation, which slightly stunned the Hall Master of the Poseidon. This was the first time in the history of the Sea Realm that a saint ruler could become a Hall Elder. If it were not for the fact that Jianqin had been chosen by the Empress, she would not have cared so much about Jianqin. This was because there was only one way to become a Hall Elder in the 3 Divine Halls, and that was to reach the peak of the 16th star. In the world of the sea, apart from the embodiment of strength, the Temple Elder was also a symbol of status. It represented a kind of supreme honor. Once one became a Temple Elder, they would be a prominent figure, second only to the Temple Master in the territory of the temple. It was the goal of countless sea race people. "You've actually declined to become a Hall Elder of the Poseidon Hall." The Hall Master of the Poseidon Hall spoke in surprise. She originally thought that Jianqin would be deliriously overjoyed, but she never thought that not only would he not be happy at all, he would even decline to become a Hall Elder. "Are you worried that the other elders of the Poseidon Hall will be dissatisfied if you become a Hall Elder with your current strength? If that's the case, you don't need to worry. You were personally appointed by the Emperor, so they won't be able to do anything to you," said the Hall Master of the Poseidon Hall. "Hall Master, a treasure of mine has been stolen from me. Once I am strong enough in the future, I will definitely enter the Serpent God Hall and take it back. As a result, I cannot become a Hall Elder of the Sea Goddess Hall," Jianqin explained. He was afraid that the Hall Master would become displeased if he rejected the Hall Master's appointment. "I see. Whatever." The Hall Master of the Poseidon Hall sat down before the throne and said, "Since that's the case, you can become a guest of the Poseidon Hall. You can enjoy the same treatment as an elder like Qin Yishuan, Lei Batian, and the others. You're not a part of the Poseidon Hall. Thank you for your gift, Hall Master. Jianqin cupped his hands in thanks. With the status of a guest elder, it would be much more convenient for him to move about the territory of Poseidon Palace in the future. It would save him a lot of unnecessary trouble. Poseidon grasped at the air, and a powerful energy immediately condensed. In the end, it condensed into a blue medallion that was half the size of a palm. He said, "Take this medallion. There's a sliver of the Emperor's presence in it. It's a symbol of your status as a guest. With it, you'll enjoy the status of an ordinary elder. You can freely move through the public areas of the Divine Hall." Jianqin accepted the token. Immediately, he felt a vast energy fluctuation from the token. The energy had completely solidified, making the token countless times harder than refined iron. Jianqin immediately shivered inside. The Hall Master of the Poseidon Hall was truly worthy of being an expert at the level of the Holy Emperor. With a wave of his hand, he could condense a powerful energy into a medallion in a single moment. This was an extremely terrifying power. Jianqin exhaled deeply after leaving the Poseidon Hall. Only now did he truly confirm that he was safe. He no longer had to worry about the Poseidon Hall doing anything to harm him. I never thought that the mysterious woman who gave me the water spirit pearl back then would be the goddess of the sea race. No wonder she had to condense a body with her soul. She's only left with her soul now. Jianqin sighed inside. He had already learned the true identity of the mysterious woman from the Hall Master of the Poseidon Hall. No wonder the mysterious woman knows about the matters of the Tian Yuan continent. No wonder she dares to speak so arrogantly about helping me fend off the experts of the beast god continent. So she's one of the 4 supreme experts of the ancient times, Poseidon. Jianqin sighed inside when he thought back to when he first met the mysterious woman. Who would have thought that he would meet the goddess of the sea race as soon as he entered the sea realm? The only sad thing was that he did not know Poseidon's identity back then. Jianqin walked through the Divine Hall alone with the medallion. He followed the path he had taken to enter the Divine Hall and arrived where he had parted ways with Lei Batian and the others very soon. The 5 of them had not left yet. They remained where they were, waiting. However, they all looked at Jianqin strangely. "Jianqin, have you seen the esteemed Hall Master? What did the Hall Master say to you? Will he make things difficult for us? Are we safe now? Will we be hunted down by the Poseidon Hall again?" Xia Wang asked nervously. The Poseidon Hall was their last refuge. He was afraid that he would not be able to stay in the Poseidon Hall any longer. Jianqin smiled. He could understand Xia Wang's worries. He felt rather exhausted after fleeing for his life for the past few days. Jianqin waved the medallion in his hand and said, "Don't worry, we're safe now. This is the medallion of a guest. You've actually become a guest of the Poseidon Hall." Lei Batian and the others all widened their eyes as they stared at the medallion in Jianqin's hand in disbelief. At that moment, the 4 of them doubted their eyes. A mere saint ruler had actually become a guest of the Poseidon Hall. Suddenly, Mo Xiren's face changed drastically. His eyes immediately widened as he uncontrollably cried out, "This is the presence of an emperor." The medallion in his hand was personally issued by the Hall Master. What? Lei Batian and the others all revealed different expressions once again. Their medallions had all been issued by Hall Elders, but Jianqin's medallion had been personally issued by the Hall Master. Did that not mean that Jianqin's status in the Poseidon Hall was much higher than the 4 of them? Moreover, only the elders of the Divine Hall could enjoy the privilege of having the Temple Master personally issue the token. "Jianqin, just what is your relationship with the Hall Master? Why is he so nice to you?" Lei Batian asked in a low, muffled voice. He was filled with curiosity as well as some jealousy and envy. "I don't know either, but the Hall Master definitely has his reasons for doing this." Jianqin replied vaguely. He did not explain in detail. Qing Yishuan stared at Jianqin closely as the light in her eyes flickered. Jianqin's heart sank slightly when he sensed Qing Yishuan's gaze, but he soon stopped worrying when he remembered that he was in the Poseidon Hall. He asked, "Senior Qing Yishuan, why are you looking at me like that?" "You were the two juniors who stole the fragmented map of the 8 wastelands from me back then." Qing Yishuan gritted her teeth. As flames of fury burned in her eyes. She hated the person who had taken away her personal belongings. "Senior, may I ask why you say that?" Jianqin was like a dead pig that did not fear boiling water. "Humph, you still dare to quibble? I don't know what method you used to change your presence, but the treasure on you sold you out. Back then, you hid in the treasure that shone with golden light and suddenly approached me. You stole the fragmented map of the 8 wastelands while I was unprepared. I've never seen or heard of a treasure that can store living people in the sea realm. Only the treasure on you has such an ability. What do you have to say now?" Qing Yishuan's face was so sunken that it was about to drip water. Jianqin was immediately at a loss for words. He never thought that it would be the saint artifact that exposed his identity in the end. When he thought about the unique effects of the saint artifact and the extremely eye-catching golden light, Jianqin understood that it would be very difficult to get away with this. Senior really is wise. However, I had no choice about what happened last time. "Please forgive me, Senior," Jianqin said apologetically. "It really is you." Qing Yishuan's eyes shone with shock. She coldly said, "Why don't you return it to me? Otherwise, I won't hold back, even if you're a guest of Hall Poseidon." Qing Yishuan was like an angry lion right now. Her clothes fluttered without any wind while her hair danced wildly. "Little brother, after all this, you're the person who stole the fragmented map of the 8 wastelands from Qing Yishuan. Oh my, I'm impressed. I really am impressed." Lei Batian chuckled. He was extremely happy. Mo Xiren, O Yin, and Xiaowang all had strange expressions as well. They faintly smiled. They were filled with admiration for Jianqin's courage. He actually dared to steal something from one of the 8 great human experts as a saint ruler, and even succeeded. This was a rare piece of news. Jianqin awkwardly smiled when he noticed their expressions. Afterward, he looked at Qing Yishuan apologetically and said, "Senior, I'm really sorry. I've offended you last time, so please be magnanimous. I'll return it to you right now." With that, Jianqin directly pulled out a white cloth from his space ring. The white cloth was something that Jianqin had taken from Qing Yishuan. It was folded neatly and still had Qing Yishuan's unique fragrance. Jianqin thought that Qing Yishuan wanted the item back, so he took it out as a show of courtesy. Qing Yishuan's face immediately reddened when she saw the item Jianqin had taken out. The redness directly extended to the roots of her ears, becoming scorching hot. "TTT this." Lei Batian and the others obviously noticed the white cloth in Jianqin's hand as well. With their thousands of years of experience, they obviously recognized what it was with a single glance. They were all stunned. Disbelief and disbelief filled their faces. "Qing Yishuan, this isn't yours, is it?" Lei Batian pointed at the white didu as he stared at the reddened Qing Yishuan. He stuttered. O Yun, Mo Xiren, and Xiaowang's expressions became extremely strange. Their mouths were pulled into a straight line as they tried to hold back their laughter. Qing Yishuan felt even more ashamed when she heard that. She was tempted to find a hole to hide in immediately. She originally wanted Jianqin to take out the fragment of the 8 wastelands, but she had never thought that Jianqin would actually take it out in front of so many people. Chapter 897. Qing Yishuan was furious. She wielded her sword in her right hand as she charged toward Jianqin with a red face and killing intent. Right now, she wanted nothing more than to cut Jianqin into 1,000 pieces. "Qing Yishuan, don't forget that this is the Divine Hall," Lei Batian smiled. He had no intentions of stopping her. A resplendent blue light rose up from the ground and enveloped Qing Yishuan. The blue light did not seem very eye-catching, but it was extremely powerful. It formed a cage that trapped Qing Yishuan tightly. Some of the blue light even entered Qing Yishuan's body, sealing her strength so that she could no longer control the saint force within her. "You bastard, there will be a day when I personally kill you." Even though Qing Yishuan was trapped, her temper did not decrease at all. She glared at Jianqin viciously, as if she wanted to swallow Jianqin whole. Jianqin bitterly smiled when he saw how furious Qing Yishuan was. If Qing Yishuan really wanted to kill him, he would probably be stuck in the Poseidon Hall forever. After all, Jianqin did not even have the ability to flee before Qing Yishuan, who was at the 5th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor. Qing Yishuan, little brother Jianqin, is a guest of the Poseidon Hall right now, and he was personally appointed by the Hall Master. If you kill little brother Jianqin, will there still be a place for you in the vast sea realm? Lei Batian snickered. He snickered inside when he saw how Qing Yishuan had been messed around by a junior. "I never thought that I would be able to personally witness the scene of such a proud and arrogant woman being humiliated. Haha, this time, Qing Yishuan has really lost all face. Her personal item was actually taken away by a junior." Lei Batian was secretly laughing in his heart. The viciousness in Qing Yishuan's eyes did not decrease at all. She furiously said, "I'll just leave the sea realm and return to the Tianyuan continent. Qing Yishuan, will there still be a place for you on the Tianyuan continent? Could it be that you still want to go back to that life of a fugitive?" Mo Xiren said in a deep voice. Mo Xiren's words immediately calmed Qing Yishuan down. Her eyes flickered with uncertainty, but her hatred for Jianqin did not diminish in the slightest. An old man walked over from the distance and said, "Qing Yishuan, you can be considered a founding elder of the Hall of Poseidon. You should know the rules of the Divine Hall very well. How can you make such a low-level mistake and actually fight in the Divine Hall?" "Greetings, Deity's Templar Elder." Lei Batian and the other two cupped their hands towards the old man. "Greetings, Temple Elder." Without any hesitation, Jianqin also bowed towards the old man. The old man was the same Hall Elder who had taken Jianqin to see the Hall Master earlier. The way the Hall Elder looked at Jianqin had changed drastically. He glanced at the white cloth in Jianqin's hand and immediately understood. He could not help but faintly smile. Extending a finger, he controlled the power of the Divine Hall to restore Qing Yishuan's freedom. "Jianqin, as the ruler of the sea race, you will definitely reach my level of cultivation in the future. You should just call me Elder Hong." The elder was very amiable and amiable. Afterward, he looked at the embarrassed Qing Yishuan and said slowly, "Qing Yishuan, Jianqin is the ruler of the sea race. You know just how important he is to our Hall of Poseidon. I hope you won't make an unforgivable mistake over something so trivial." Qing Yishuan gritted her teeth and remained silent. Of course, she knew what a ruler meant to the sea race. He was a future Hall Elder. He would be able to reach the great perfection of the Holy Emperor at the very least. There was even an extremely great chance that he would become an expert like the Holy Emperor. This was because the original bodies of the temple masters of the 3 divine halls of the sea realm were all kings. Moreover, more than half of the current divine hall elders of the 3 divine halls were also kings. Then Elder Hong said to Jianqin, "Jianqin, you are a guest personally appointed by His Majesty. Although you are not powerful enough, you still enjoy all the benefits of a guest. You have an independent palace in the Divine Hall, and you receive 100,000 great quality crystal coins every year." With that, Elder Hong took out a jade pendant and gave it to Jianqin. He continued, "This is the key to the palace. With it, you can find the palace that belongs to you. You can also control the barrier of the palace as you wish. If you want to cultivate, you can open the barrier and isolate yourself from the outside world to prevent any disturbances." "Thank you, Elder Hong." Jianqin clasped his hands in thanks. Elder Hong chuckled and said, This is the treatment you deserve. There's no need to thank me. All right, since I've given you the item, I've completed the mission His Majesty gave me. It's time for me to leave." Elder Hong turned around and left. "Jianqin, return the 8 wastelands to me." After Elder Hong left, Qing Yishuan's furious voice rang out in Jianqin's ears again. He saw Qing Yishuan glare at Jianqin viciously with a sunken face. Jianqin shook his head. "Senior, I've finally obtained the 8 wastelands after so much effort, and the 8 wastelands is still useful to me. Please forgive me for not being able to return it to you." "You." Qing Yishuan was furious. She pointed at Jianqin, but she was unable to say anything. She did not dare to do anything to Jianqin right now. She forcefully swallowed the threatening words that had just reached her mouth. "Jianqin, I, Qing Yishuan, will never let this matter rest." With that, Qing Yishuan left in a hurry. She snatched the white doo-doo in Jianqin's hand and tore it to pieces. "Hee, little brother Jianqin, you're quite capable. You've actually angered a prideful woman like Qing Yishuan to such a state. I'd like to see how she's going to face anyone in the future. I'd like to see if she's still bold enough to act so lofty in front of us." Lei Batian could not help but snicker evilly after Qing Yishuan vanished. Jianqin, Lei Batian, O Yin, and Mo Ziren chatted casually for a while before leaving. Although Lei Batian and the others were extremely curious about Jianqin's saint artifact that could store living people, they no longer dared to have any improper thoughts after learning about the relationship between Jianqin and His Majesty Poseidon. At this moment, a figure hurried over from the distance. He crossed over 10 kilometers in the blink of an eye and arrived before Jianqin. The person was a hunchbacked old man whose face was filled with wrinkles. He had a head of white hair that was withered, as if he had lost all of his vitality. "Ruler's presence, ruler's presence. This is the ruler's presence of my turtle clan." The old man's eyes shone brightly as he stared at Jianqin. He was extremely excited. "This is the ruler's presence of my turtle clan. This is the ruler's presence of my turtle clan. A ruler has finally appeared in my turtle clan." The old man's voice trembled as he stared at Jianqin excitedly as he constantly muttered to himself, "The ruler's presence of the turtle clan." Jianqin was stunned by the old man's words, but he seemed to think of something soon after. He immediately became surprised and thought, could it be the ruler's presence of the water spirit orb? Could the water spirit orb Poseidon gave me be made from the Niden of the ruler of the turtle clan? "Child, tell me, which tribe do you belong to?" The old man grabbed Jianqin's hand and excitedly asked, "Senior, you've misunderstood. I'm not a member of your tribe," explained Jianqin. He could already tell that the old man was a holy emperor. He was not someone he could afford to offend. "If you're not a member of our tribe, then you must be a ruler who grew up in the wilderness." All right, that's even better. I'll take you back to the turtle clan right now." With that, the old man pulled Jianqin away from Poseidon's majesty and flew outside. "Oi, Jianqin, wait for me!" Evil King chased after Jianqin. The evil king hurriedly chased after him. Now that Jianqin was his backer, he would not leave Jianqin no matter what. It's been 30,000 years. It's been 30,000 years. A ruler has finally appeared in my turtle clan, the old man constantly muttered to himself. He was extremely excited. "Senior, you've misunderstood. I'm not a ruler of your turtle clan," Jianqin explained. Jianqin constantly explained as he tried to break free from the old man's hand. However, the old man's hand gripped his arm tightly like a pair of pliers. He was unable to break free no matter how hard he tried. All he could do was let the old man drag him off in an unknown direction. It can't be wrong, it can't be wrong. Clansmen will develop a sense of familiarity with each other's presence. I can sense the ruler's presence from you. So you are without a doubt the ruler of my turtle clan, the old man said with great certainty. After Jianqin was forcefully taken away from the divine hall by the old man, the white-clothed Qing Yishuan silently appeared at the entrance of the divine hall. She coldly stared at Jianqin's back and resentfully said, "I never thought that you'd leave Poseidon's majesty so soon. The heavens are really helping me. Once I retrieve the piece of the 8 wastelands in exchange for that item, I'll be able to return to the Tianyuan continent." Qing Yishuan leapt up and directly jumped down from the divine hall. She then concealed her presence and carefully followed in Jianqin's direction. At the same time, the battle between the 4 divine generals of the Serpent God Hall, the disciplinary elder of the Heaven's Spirit Hall, and the 8 human experts, Qing Yishuan and the others, caused quite an uproar in the territory of the Heaven's Spirit Hall. A total of 11 16th star experts fought and retreated in the air, covering a distance of over 100,000 kilometers. Wherever they passed, the ground below would be reduced to a mess from the powerful shock waves of energy. This alarmed many experts and caused a great uproar in the territory of the Heaven's Spirit Hall. Various rumors filled the air. At the same time, an extremely shocking piece of news spread in the territory of the Poseidon Hall. The disciplinary elder of the Heaven's Spirit Hall and the 2 divine generals of the Serpent God Hall had actually been captured by the Hall Elder of the Poseidon Hall, Atlantis. Like stray dogs, they were dragged away by a rope in the direction of the divine hall. They had been utterly humiliated. These 2 sensational news quickly spread throughout the entire sea region and caused a great shock in the hearts of countless sea race people. Subsequently, all kinds of rumors also spread all over the sky. Many people believed that the tranquility of the sea region was about to be broken, and the battle between the 3 divine palaces was about to start again. The Poseidon Hall was founded by the great Poseidon. It is the unquestionable supreme ruler of our sea realm. We swear to protect the Poseidon Hall with our lives. At the same time, various people who supported the Poseidon Hall expressed their thoughts. Although they were in different territories, many people still placed the Poseidon Hall first. Although the sea goddess had vanished for countless years, the prestige she had left behind still influenced most of her subjects. Within the divine hall of the Heaven's Spirit Hall, 5 hall elders knelt on the ground uneasily. Their faces were filled with unconcealable fear. A burly, middle-aged man sat at the very front of the 5 of them. The middle-aged man had an ordinary face. He looked very ordinary, but there was a sense of majesty that made people tremble in fear. "You bunch of trash. You can't even handle such a simple matter. You actually watched as the abyssal crystal slipped away right under your noses, and you even let a disciplinary elder be taken away by the people of the Poseidon Hall. What are the 5 of you doing? You didn't personally handle something as important as the abyssal crystal, and you got your subordinates to do it. What a great opportunity, yet you missed it just like that." The middle-aged man's voice was filled with anger. "Please calm down, Hall Master. It's all our fault. Please punish us, Hall Master," a hall elder said softly. Chapter 898. What's the point of punishing you? Will the abyssal crystal return if I punish you? The Hall Master of the Heavens, Spirit Hall, growled. His eyes shone with a shocking light as a vague, invisible pressure permeated the hall. It was as if the entire world was under his control. My Heaven's Spirit Hall has been utterly humiliated this time. Not only have we allowed 3 14th-star juniors to kill 2 elders, but even a disciplinary elder has been taken away by the people of the Poseidon Hall. We need to regain our dignity. We can't let those 3 juniors go, or where will our Heaven's Spirit Hall put its face? Pass on the order for the great Zhou Emperor and Zhou Yunzi to secretly head to the Poseidon Hall and kill those 3 juniors. The Hall Master of the Heavens, Spirit Hall, growled. The great Zhou Emperor and Zhou Yunzi were twin brothers, as well as members of the 8 great human experts. They had reached the 5th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor and were 16th-star warriors of the Poseidon Hall. Yes, Your Majesty, the Divine Hall Elders said respectfully. The Hall Elders by Yen and Charlie currently sat in the largest divine hall at the very center of the Serpent God Hall's territory with sunken faces. Two dusty people stood before them. They were the two divine generals who had fled from the territory of the Heavens Spirit Hall. After hearing the report from the two divine generals, the short-tempered Charlie smashed the expensive teacup in his hand to pieces. He said furiously, "The Heavens Spirit Hall actually dared to get in the way of my Serpent God Hall, ruining our plans in the end. Charlie, will remember this. I will definitely repay you in the future." Bai Yin also sat there silently with a sunken face. The two of them were responsible for the loss of the abyssal crystal because they were the ones responsible for the matter in the first place. If I had known that my good-for-nothing disciple would mess things up, I wouldn't have sent him on this mission. Bai Yin sighed, his face full of regret. Charlie was infuriated when he heard that. He pointed at Bai Yin and roared, "Bai Yin, this is all your fault. If you hadn't thought yourself clever and said that you were afraid of attracting attention and insisted on sending a few messengers to retrieve this item, how would things have turned out like this? If you had believed me, you would have sent a few elders or me personally. The abyssal crystal would have fallen into our hands a long time ago, and we wouldn't have had to deal with all this. Are you satisfied with the result now? The abyssal crystal has been taken to Pallas Poseidon's territory by those juniors. With Pallas Poseidon's ability, they must have learned of the abyssal crystal's existence. They said that they would never allow this thing to exist and would destroy it as soon as possible. Let's see how you explain this to Palace Master when he comes out of seclusion." Bai Yin gently sighed. He sat in his chair without saying anything. He understood that the matter of the abyssal crystal had reached a point of no return. "Men, bring me that son of a bitch Jensen. I want to pull out his tendons, crawl on his skin, drink his blood, and eat his flesh." Charlie shouted loudly as if he had gone mad. Very soon, Jensen was dragged over by two guards like they were dragging a dead dog. He seemed to know what was about to happen. His face was pale from fright, without a single trace of blood. "Spare me, Hall Elder. Spare me. I know my wrongs. I know my wrongs. I know my wrongs. I will never make such a huge mistake again. Master, save me. Master, save me." Kneeling on the ground, Jensen kept kowtowing and begging for mercy. He was no longer as lofty and domineering as he was outside. Currently, Jensen was filled with regret. If he had known that things would turn out like this, he would never have offended Gentian in the first place. Right now, he wished that he could turn back time and return to that period of time so that he could make another choice. You've made such a huge mistake, and you still want to beg for mercy? You're delusional. Charlie's eyes were filled with killing intent. He directly stabbed his hand into the back of Jensen's neck and pulled. A bloodied tendon was ripped out of Jensen's body. Jensen let out a painful scream. His whole body fell to the ground and struggled violently. The pain of cramping was unbearable for him. Afterwards, Jensen's body began to change at a visible rate. He began to expand rapidly, and in just a few seconds, he became a 5-meter-long sea creature. He seemed like a snake, but he wasn't a snake. He seemed like a serpent, but he wasn't a serpent either. This was Jensen's original form. With his tendons ripped out, Jensen was unable to maintain his human form. He did not die immediately, but he was on the verge of death. Seeing Jensen's fate, Bai Yin let out a soft sigh. Jensen's mistake was far too grave. Even if he had extraordinary talent, even if he was his disciple, there was no way for him to escape death. Take this piece of trash away. Once I deal with the matters here, I'll deal with him properly, Charlie said furiously as he held the bleeding tendon in his hand. Very soon, Jensen was dragged away by two guards, leaving behind a large pool of blood in the hall. Bai Yin pondered for a while before standing up from his chair. He said, "Although this is Jensen's fault, the people who stole it cannot be forgiven either. Tell Li Fengxing to personally pay a visit to the Poseidon Hall. The people who stole the abyssal crystal cannot be forgiven either." "I want them to die without a grave," Charlie clenched his fists tightly as his gaze became extremely terrifying. Before long, a white-robed, middle-aged man left the Serpent God Hall. He turned into a white streak of light and flew toward the territory of the Poseidon Hall with lightning-like speed. He was Li Fengxing, the leader of the 5 sea magical beasts. He was a mutated beast with extremely great battle prowess. Jianchen, who was in the territory of the Poseidon Hall, had no idea that the Serpent God Hall and the Heaven's Spirit Hall had sent experts over. He was currently being pulled away by the old man from the Turtle Clan. They had already left the Divine Hall, and after crossing over 300,000 kilometers, they finally stopped before a large tribe. It was a large tribe. All the houses in the tribe were condensed from earth through a technique. They were extremely tough, like steel. A large archway stood before the entrance of the tribe. The words Turtle Clan were written on it in large, forceful strokes. The words were simple, and no one knew how long they had existed. The presence of time still lingered on them. Our Turtle Clan is a large clan in the sea realm. We have many members and are basically scattered across the entire sea realm. We have countless branches as well. We may not be a peak organization, but we do have some fame in the sea realm. This tribe is the headquarters of our Turtle Clan, explained the old man. After explaining to Jianchen, he pulled Jianchen in without any explanation. He did not allow Jianchen to resist at all. Greetings to the Grand Elder. The Earth Saint Master guards at the entrance clearly recognized the old man from the Turtle Clan. They all politely bowed to him before looking at Jianchen. They became surprised and doubtful. Jianchen's ruler's presence could only be sensed by outsiders who cultivated secret techniques. If they encountered someone from the same clan, they would naturally sense it through their bloodline. The guards were all from the Turtle Clan, so they could sense a pressure that seemed to originate from the soul from Jianchen. For some reason, they felt a sliver of fear for Jianchen. Greetings to the Grand Elder. Greetings to the Grand Elder. There were quite a few people moving about in the Turtle Clan. The old man pulled Jianchen by the hand and made his way to the majestic hall. Along the way, all the people they came across politely bowed to the old man before curiously studying Jianchen. They were surprised and doubtful. All the people of the Turtle Clan could sense a pressure that originated from Jianchen's bloodline. They all felt respect and fear for some reason when they saw Jianchen's back, causing them to become confused. They had no idea why they would feel this way toward a stranger. Sound the bell and summon all the elders to the hall for a meeting, ordered the old man. Afterward, he pulled Jianchen into the majestic hall by the hand and forcefully pressed Jianchen onto the throne. Jianchen could not resist at all. Senior, you've misunderstood. I really am not your ruler. Jianchen's heart was filled with bitterness. He had already lost count of how many times he had said it, but the old man still insisted that he was the ruler of the Turtle Clan. Ruler, there's no need to say anything more. You are without a doubt the ruler of the Turtle Clan. This is an indisputable fact. I'm taking you back to the Turtle Clan right now so that you can inherit the position of ruler and make up for the lack of a ruler in the past 30,000 years, the old man said firmly, confirming Jianchen's identity. The heavy sound of the bell rang through the entire clan. Very soon, people hurried over from all directions and gathered in the hall. There were around a dozen people in total. They varied in age, but they were all saint rulers. As soon as they entered the hall, they discovered Jianchen sitting on the throne. They all became stunned and became uncertain. This is the ruler's presence. A middle-aged man stared closely at Jianchen and cried out in surprise. He seemed to be rather uncertain. It had been far too long since the ruler of the Turtle Clan had appeared. This is the ruler's presence of our Turtle Clan. Is he the new ruler of our clan? It's been 30,000 years since a ruler has appeared in our clan. I never thought that a ruler would appear now. Just when did a ruler appear? Why did we not know about it before? Everyone in the hall discussed. They had all recognized the ruler's presence from Jianchen. Grand Elder, why haven't you been cultivating in the divine hall? Why have you come back? And why have you gathered all of us as soon as you've returned? Have you brought back some important news? At this moment, an old voice rang out from outside the hall. Two skinny old men walked in side by side while several saint rulers of various ages followed behind them. It's another Holy Emperor-level expert. Jianchen was surprised when he saw the two old men at the very front. The Turtle Clan actually possessed 3 Holy Emperor-level experts. It was quite a large force. The Grand Elder stood beside Jianchen and stared at the two old men deeply. He smiled. Second Elder, Third Elder, you've come at the right time. Now that the ruler of our Turtle Clan has appeared, it's time for our clan to return to its former glory. Chapter 899. The ruler's presence of our Turtle Clan. He really is the ruler of our Turtle Clan. The Second Elder and Third Elder were secretly surprised. Their gazes toward Jianchen underwent a slight change. It became rather complicated. The Grand Elder glanced at everyone below and proudly said, I believe everyone can sense the ruler's chi of my Turtle Clan. This is the ruler that hasn't appeared in the past 30,000 years. Only under the leadership of the ruler will my Turtle Clan be able to advance towards glory. Everyone, why don't you bow when you see the ruler? A portion of them immediately knelt down, planning on bowing to Jianchen. Hold on. The Second Elder stopped them from bowing. He stared at Jianchen with shining eyes and clasped his hands. May I ask what your name is and which tribe you come from? Why haven't we heard anything about you before? Where did you come from? The Second Elder asked boldly. His tone was rather rude, as if he did not treat the ruler of the Turtle Clan with any importance at all. Jianchen sat there calmly in silence. He felt like there was no need for him to answer the Second Elder, because only he knew that he was not the ruler of the Turtle Clan. Everything originated from the water spirit pearl that His Majesty Poseidon had given him. The Grand Elder's expression suddenly changed when he heard the Second Elder's words. He growled. Second Elder, what do you mean by that? Are you questioning the ruler? Can't you sense the ruler's presence? Calm down, Grand Elder. This person does possess the presence of the ruler of our Turtle Clan, but we don't know anything about him. We've never heard anything about the ruler of our Turtle Clan either, so I feel like we need to understand this person's identity. After all, once the ruler of our Turtle Clan takes on the role, it'll affect the fate of our entire clan. We can't be careless, the Second Elder leisurely replied. The Grand Elder was furious. Second Elder, it's only right for the ruler of the Turtle Clan to inherit the position of ruler of the Turtle Clan because he is, without a doubt, the king of all the people of the Turtle Clan. As the people of the ruler, we have no right to question the ruler's identity. Now, as the Grand Elder, I declare that the position of Patriarch of the Turtle Clan will be removed from today onwards. The entire clan will obey the king's orders. Is there anyone who disagrees? First Elder, if you want to remove him from the position of clan leader, all 3 of us must agree. Right now, I am rejecting your decision to remove him from the position of clan leader because the identity of the king is unknown, the Second Elder said. Grand Elder, he does indeed possess the presence of a ruler of our Turtle Clan, but his arrival is just far too strange. At the same time, the matter of becoming a ruler is extremely important, so I don't think we can rush this matter. Why don't we put it aside for now and discuss it in the future? The Third Elder expressed his opinion as well, standing on the same side as the Second Elder. Why? You're actually looking down on the ruler of the Turtle Clan. This is outrageous, the Grand Elder furiously said as he pointed at the Second and Third Elders. He was extremely angry before glancing at the other people in the hall. He sternly asked, What do you think? Do you not agree with the ruler of the Turtle Clan like the Second and Third Elders? The Saint rulers all looked at each other with a troubled expression. In the end, they all closed their mouths and remained silent. They had all silently agreed to stand on the same side as the Second and Third Elders. Good, good, good. I never thought that you people would look down on Old Man, even though he spends most of his time cultivating in the Divine Hall and rarely interferes with the matters of the tribe. The great elder was so angry that he slammed his walking stick on the ground and his chest heaved up and down violently. Jianchen calmly observed the situation, but he secretly rejoiced inside. This was obviously the outcome he wanted to see the most because he had no interest in becoming the ruler of the Turtle Clan. He would leave the Sea Realm sooner or later. Seeing that the time was about right, Jianchen stood up from his chair and said, "Grand Elder, there's no need to waste your breath. I will not become the ruler of the Turtle Clan. I will be taking my leave now." With that, Jianchen directly made his way out of the hall without any reluctance. No one in the hall dared to stop Jianchen. Although no one could accept Jianchen's identity because of the second and third elders, his ruler's presence was genuine. No one dared to offend him. The Grand Elder furiously stood before the throne. He was no longer shameless enough to keep Jianchen after what had happened, so he allowed Jianchen to leave. As soon as Jianchen arrived at the entrance of the Turtle Tribe, he saw the evil king arguing with a few guards at the entrance with a displeased expression. He had followed Jianchen all the way from the Divine Hall, but he was not as fast as the Grand Elder, so he was left far behind. When he arrived, Jianchen and the Grand Elder had already entered. Without the Grand Elder leading the way, it was obviously impossible for him to enter the Turtle Clan as an outsider. The assassin was arguing with the guards at the entrance. "Evil King!" Jianchen called out and quickly made his way over to the Evil King. The Evil King immediately stopped paying attention to the guards when he saw Jianchen emerge. He studied Jianchen and said, "You've finally come out. What's the situation? Have you become the ruler of the Turtle Clan?" The guards immediately became surprised when they heard the Evil King call Jianchen the ruler of the Turtle Clan. Their gazes toward Jianchen finally underwent an overwhelming change. Only now did they finally understand why they felt respect and fear for Jianchen from the bottom of their hearts. He was actually the ruler of the Turtle Clan. "Let's not talk about this. Let's go." Jianchen nonchalantly made his way out of the entrance under the mixed gazes of the guards. He then took to the air and left. The Evil King stared at Jianchen's back in doubt. He sank into his thoughts, but he said nothing and left with Jianchen. "Oi, what happened to you in the Turtle Clan? Did they mistake you for someone else? Are you not the ruler of the Turtle Clan?" The Evil King quickly caught up to Jianchen and asked curiously. "Correct, they were mistaken. I really am not the ruler of the Turtle Clan," Jianchen replied. He was extremely calm. He did not care about what had happened in the Turtle Clan at all. However, as soon as Jianchen finished speaking, the surrounding space froze. It firmly immobilized Jianchen and the Evil King in the air. The white-clothed Qing Yishuan appeared before the two of them. Her face was icy cold as she glared at Jianchen. She called out, "Humph, I'd like to see where you run off to now." Jianchen's eyes narrowed. "Senior Qing Yishuan, do you still want to kill me? I may not be able to kill you, but you can't stop me from taking back the map fragment of the 8 wastelands," Qing Yishuan coldly said. She directly removed the space ring on Jianchen's finger and immediately began to rummage through it. Jianchen smiled playfully. He knew that Qing Yishuan was following him long ago, so he had switched out his space ring long ago. He had tossed the space ring that truly contained valuable items into the artifact space. Qing Yishuan rummaged through the space ring, but failed to find any traces of the 8 wastelands. Her face immediately sank as she glared at Jianchen viciously. She angrily yelled, "Speak! Where did you put the map fragment of the 8 wastelands?" "Senior Qing Yishuan, the 8 wastelands are of great use to me, so I won't return it to you," Jianchen said. "All right, since you won't hand it over, don't blame me for being rude. I may not be able to kill you, but I have plenty of ways to torture you. Come with me." Qing Yishuan arrived before Jianchen in a flash. She extended her slender, white fingers and directly grabbed Jianshin's clothes. Afterwards, she looked at Xiaowang and said, "To prevent you from leaking information, come with me as well." Qing Yishuan used her other hand to grab Xiaowang as well. She was about to take the two of them away. "Qing Yishuan, how bold of you to treat the ruler of the Turtle clan like this!" At this moment, a yell rang out from behind. The Grand Elder of the Turtle clan radiated with a tremendous presence as he aggressively flew over. "God damn it! Why did this old turtle have to come now of all times? He's ruining my plans." Qing Yishuan frowned, but she did not let go of Jianshin and Xiaowang. "Qing Yishuan, why don't you release the ruler of the Turtle clan? Or don't blame me for reporting this to the Hall Master," the Grand Elder called out as he stood before Qing Yishuan. At that moment, he did not seem short at all with his hunched back. He did not seem short at all. Qing Yishuan's eyes became filled with deep fear when she heard him mention the Hall Master. She thought, the Hall Master values this person very much and has even personally appointed him as a guest of the Turtle clan. If this old turtle reports that I've captured this person to the Hall Master, I'll definitely be in trouble. Sigh, whatever. Qing Yishuan immediately gave up on the idea of capturing Jianshin. She coldly said, "I'll let you go this time. If you don't return the 8 wastelands to me, I'll never let you go." With that, Qing Yishuan turned around and left. She moved extremely quickly, disappearing in the blink of an eye. "Ruler, are you all right?" The Grand Elder arrived before Jianshin and asked in concern. "It's a good thing that the Grand Elder made it in time, or I might have been in trouble," Jianshin gratefully replied. Some worry appeared on the Grand Elder's face. "Qing Yishuan is powerful and her attacks are sharp. Our Turtle clan focuses on defense, and our attacks are weak. If we really were to fight her, I would definitely lose. It's a good thing that she fears the Hall Master, or I really wouldn't be able to do anything to her. Ruler, Qing Yishuan has already set her eyes on you. You should return to the clan with me. As long as you remain in the clan, Qing Yishuan won't be bold enough to cause trouble no matter how bold she is. Although our Turtle clan is not powerful, we're still a founding member of the Poseidon Hall. An outsider like her won't be bold enough to cause trouble in our clan. Thank you for your concern, Grand Elder, but the Turtle clan is not a place for me to stay. I have other places to go," Jianshin declined. The Grand Elder sighed. The ruler is still angry about what happened earlier. It has already been 30,000 years since a ruler has appeared in our Turtle clan, which is why the ruler's deterrence towards our clan has decreased. However, don't worry, ruler. I will definitely deal with the matters of the clan as soon as possible so that the ruler can successfully succeed the throne. Chapter 900. Jianshin was filled with helplessness when he heard the Grand Elder's words. He knew that the Grand Elder would not believe him no matter how he tried to explain himself. With his inflexible personality, he was certain that he possessed the presence of a ruler. Should I reveal my true identity or not? That's probably the only way for the Grand Elder to believe that I'm not some ruler of the Turtle clan, Jianshin thought. He was already hesitating over revealing his identity to the Grand Elder. The Grand Elder sighed. My Turtle clan was once a peak clan in the Sea Realm. Even with the entire Sea Realm in perspective, we ranked in the top 10. During our peak, we produced 4 rulers in a row, and every single one of them was at the peak of the 16th star. They were at the level of Hall Elders. At that time, no one dared to provoke the Turtle clan aside from the 3 divine halls. It's a pity that after so many years, the strength of the Turtle clan has declined with each generation. The number of rulers has constantly decreased, and the strength of the entire clan has rapidly declined as well. We've already fallen from being a peak clan in the Sea Realm to this mediocre clan, and no one with the bloodline of a ruler has appeared in 30,000 years. If this continues, we'll probably become weaker and weaker. In the end, we'll be swallowed up by other powerful clans. A sliver of pain appeared on the Grand Elder's face. As an old man of the Turtle clan, he really did not want to see something like this happen. Ruler, You are the hope of my turtle clan. Only under your lead can the turtle clan reach its former glory and achieve what it once was. I hope the ruler can return to the turtle clan. Old Man will definitely assist the ruler with everything he has, the Grand Elder pleaded to Jianchen. His face was filled with hope. Grand Elder, don't say any more. I'm not a member of your turtle clan, so I won't go back with you. Jianchen rejected the Grand Elder's request without any hesitation before leaving with Xiaowang. Ruler, if you don't come back with me, I'll stay by your side the entire time. The Grand Elder was stubborn as he immediately followed Jianchen. Jianchen was extremely happy to have the Grand Elder follow him. With a holy emperor by his side, he did not need to worry about Qing Yishuan coming to find him again. Jianchen flew in the direction of the Divine Hall, with Xiaowang while the Grand Elder followed by his side. Jianchen had been in the Sea Region world for nearly a month now. During this time, he had been tied up with some trivial matters and had not been able to properly cultivate at all. This had already gone against his purpose of coming to the Sea Region. As a result, Jianchen planned on cultivating in the Divine Hall for extended periods of time. Once his strength increased, he would immediately return to the Tianyuan continent. After the three of them flew for a distance of 5,000 kilometers, a city appeared before Jianchen's eyes. Jianchen directly flew over the city. However, when he approached the center of the city, his eyes suddenly narrowed. He suddenly looked down and immediately descended, landing on the bustling streets of the city. Before Jianchen was a castle-like building. It was constructed in an extremely grand manner, and people came and went from the wide open entrance. It was very busy. The pavilion of wondrous treasures. Jianchen softly murmured when he saw the large, flamboyant words on the signboard. A gleam of excitement flickered through his eyes as he made his way to the pavilion of wondrous treasures. Esteemed warriors, how may I be of service to you? As soon as they entered the pavilion of wondrous treasures, a sharp-eyed worker who was adept at reading people ran over. He circled around Jianchen and the others with an enchanting smile. He was extremely enthusiastic. Take me to the 5th floor. Jianchen behaved like an expert, directly tossing a supreme quality crystal coin to the worker. He was so generous that it attracted the curious gazes of the people in the surroundings toward Jianchen. The taste of a warrior really is something that ordinary people can't compare to. The 5th floor is where the most valuable items are stored in our pavilion of wondrous treasures. It's not a place that ordinary people can go up. Only great figures like you have the right to go up there. The worker was overjoyed to receive a supreme quality crystal coin so easily. He continuously flattered Jianchen. Cut the crap. Lead the way, Jianchen said rather impatiently. Yes. I will lead the way immediately. Please come this way. Seeing that Jianchen was already unhappy, the worker immediately stopped talking nonsense and directly led Jianchen upstairs. Jianchen was led by the worker to the 5th floor of the pavilion of wondrous treasures. Although the 5th floor was the same size as the 1st floor, the items placed here were much rarer. There were only a few items, but every one of them was a rare treasure. At this moment, there were more than 20 people in gorgeous clothes surrounding a few treasures and looking them up and down. Among these people, a tall woman in white clothes was the most eye-catching. The woman had a face that could topple countries and cities. Her skin was like mutton fat that could be broken by the slightest touch. Her pair of limpid eyes were filled with a ruthless coldness, revealing a coldness that repelled people thousands of miles away. When she stood with these people, she was like a flower stuck in cow dung. She was so dazzling that no one could ignore her existence. Her existence caused all the officials and nobles who were looking at the treasures to steal glances at her from the corner of their eyes. Although their gazes were fixed on the treasures, their minds were not on the treasures at all. Beside the woman was a handsome, well-dressed young man with an extraordinary bearing. He had a sunny smile on his face as he said something to the woman. The gaze he used to look at the woman was filled with infatuation. There was undisguised adoration in his eyes. Beside the young man were two middle-aged men dressed like servants. They were expressionless and had cold gazes. They were both sixth cycle heaven saint masters. In the sea realm, fighting was forbidden in the cities, yet the young man had two sixth cycle heaven saint master guards following him in the city. From this, it could be seen that his identity was definitely not ordinary. He was definitely the young master of a large clan. Miss, I've already introduced myself, but I still don't know your name. I don't know which organization you are from or where you cultivate, the young man said with a gentle smile. The young man said with a smile beside the woman in white. His tone was soft, his attitude was gentle, and he was very amiable. The young man was called Nanyun Lai. He was the young master of the Nanyun clan. His great-grandfather was the current patriarch of the Nanyun clan. There was probably no one who did not know the Nanyun clan in a radius of several 100,000 kilometers. The Nanyun clan was a well-known clan in the territory of the Poseidon Hall. They possessed 15-star experts, and there were two of them. They were an overlord that reigned over a region. They were fully worthy of being called a first-rate organization. They even controlled several medium-sized tribes and clans, so their range of influence was even greater. The woman's expression was cold. She completely ignored Nanyun Lai, who was blabbering on beside her. Her cold eyes stared unblinkingly at the sword before her. The long sword was only 2 fingers wide, and its body was bright like a mirror. It emitted a layer of hazy treasure light, and a vast and terrifying energy was faintly circulating within the body of the sword. At this moment, the woman's expression changed. She suddenly turned around, and her cold eyes immediately locked onto Jianchen. The moment she saw Jianchen, her eyes immediately sharpened as she gritted her teeth. The woman was one of the 8 great human experts, Qing Yishuan. The Xia Wang's expression immediately changed when he saw Qing Yishuan. He said through a communication technique, "God damn it, why is she here? Jianchen, why have you come here for no reason? We can't even hide from this person, yet you're throwing yourself at her." Jianchen ignored the Xia Wang. He glanced between Qing Yishuan and Nanyun Lai for a while before revealing a strange expression. He said nothing and directly walked towards Qing Yishuan. In the end, he stopped before the sword. As soon as Jianchen's gaze landed on the sword, his eyes immediately burned with desire, as if he had discovered a supreme treasure. He was drooling with desire. He knew that the sword before him was definitely at least 10 times more powerful than the dragon-slaying sword. Jianchen extended his trembling hand towards the hilt of the sword. However, as soon as his hand came in contact with the hilt, a sharp sword chi immediately shot out, piercing through Jianchen's chaotic body and injuring his hand. Immediately, blood began to flow from the wound. Jianchen was secretly surprised when he felt the piercing pain from his hand. The power of the sword had exceeded his imagination. He had never thought that just a single strand of sword chi would be so powerful, even piercing through his chaotic body. If it were someone else with similar strength, they would definitely end up in an even more miserable state. With a thought, the chaotic Naiden in Jianchen's dantian immediately began to emit strands of chaotic force, pushing the defenses of the chaotic body to the limit. Afterward, he reached for the hilt of the sword once more. Sharp sword chi immediately shot out when his hand came in contact with the hilt. It left behind white marks on Jianchen's hand, but it was unable to harm Jianchen at all now. A sliver of surprise immediately appeared in Qing Yishuan's eyes when she saw this. She was shocked by the strength of Jianchen's body. This is a weapon left behind by a human expert at the end of their lifespan. It should be a king weapon, left behind by the Holy Emperor of the 9th Heavenly Layer. The Grand Elder sighed in amazement as he studied the sword without blinking. Jianchen was unable to contain his excitement when he heard that. He picked up the sword and carefully studied it. Joy filled his face as he murmured, "A king weapon. It really is a saint weapon left behind by the Holy Emperor of the 9th Heavenly Layer. It really is extraordinarily powerful." This sword suits me just too well. Put down the king weapon. You're not worthy of possessing one with your strength. Qing Yishuan coldly called out to Jianqin. Qing Yishuan coldly stared at Jianqin and called out. She absolutely hated Jianqin inside, but she dared not do anything to Jianqin with the Grand Elder by his side. Who says I'm not worthy? I want this King Saint artifact. Shopkeeper, what's the price of this weapon? Jianqin's attention was completely focused on the King Saint artifact. He was extremely excited. His dragon-slaying sword had already become slightly damaged, and as his strength increased in the future, the sword would become less and less useful to him. If he reached the third layer of the chaotic body, the dragon-slaying sword would not be able to endure chaotic force anymore. The king weapon left behind by the Holy Emperor of the 9th heavenly layer just happened to solve his problem. Chapter 901. Qing Yishuan's face changed slightly when she heard that Jianqin actually wanted to buy the king weapon. She yelled out, I saw this sword first, so I'll be the first to buy it. It's not your turn yet. Qing Yishuan had always been an expert with the sword, and the saint weapon she used was basically the same as the king weapon. The sword was extremely important to her. With her strength at the 5th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor, obtaining a king weapon would be like giving wings to a tiger. She would be able to challenge experts at the 7th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor. As a result, Qing Yishuan swore that she would obtain the king weapon. Although ruler armaments were not rare in the sea realm, she no longer had any use for them with her strength. Only king weapons and emperor armaments could be of use to her. However, these two weapons were extremely rare even on the Tianyuan continent, let alone in the sea realm where humans were scarce. Senior, since you want this sword, why haven't you bought it after looking at it for so long? The sword is in my hands now. I, Jianqin, will be taking it, Jianqin firmly said. The king weapon had helped him far too much, so he was determined to obtain it. Although he would offend Qing Yishuan, he had already come into conflict with Qing Yishuan, so he did not mind making the conflict a little worse. Qing Yishuan's pretty face had already paled from anger. She stared at Jianqin furiously and coldly said, I've already decided on this sword. It already belongs to me. You can't buy this sword before I give up on it. I want the sword right now. May I ask if I can obtain the right to purchase it before anyone else? Jianqin asked, but he looked at an old man who walked over from nearby. The old man gave off the presence of a great scholar. He was a 9th heavenly layer saint ruler, so Jianqin knew that he was the shopkeeper. You too have sharp eyes. We've only obtained this king weapon recently. We've just placed it here for 3 days. We originally thought that we wouldn't be able to sell it, so we planned on auctioning it off in a large auction in the future. I never thought that we'd come across someone who knows what's good for it so quickly. I've really been surprised. The shopkeeper chuckled as he walked over. He studied Jianqin and Qing Yishuan without leaving any trace. He knew that the two of them possessed great origins and that he could not offend either of them. The shopkeeper arrived before the king weapon and continued, This young lady may be interested in this king weapon, but she hasn't paid a deposit, nor has she discussed it with the store. According to the rules, if you want to buy the sword, you only need to pay the right price, and the sword will be yours, as long as you pay the price. Qing Yishuan became worried when she heard that. She said with a heavy voice, Shopkeeper, I want the sword as well. I don't have enough crystal coins on me right now, so I've already contacted my friends to bring crystal coins. Can you give me some time? The shopkeeper hesitated. He was rather troubled. Hearing that Qing Yishuan did not have enough crystal coins, a smile appeared on Nanyan Lai's face. He said, Since you like this sword called Sacred Ruler Armament, then let me buy it for you. Shopkeeper, I, Nanyan Lai, want the sword. Put it on my Nanyan clan's tab. My Nanyan clan will naturally send someone to pay the crystal coins. With that, Nanyan Lai glanced at Jianqin provocatively. He knew that Jianqin was not weak, but he did not care at all because he was the young master of the Nanyan clan, a clan that possessed two 15th-star experts. Jianqin sneered when he noticed Nanyan Lai's provocative gaze. He could tell with a single glance that Nanyan Lai was only a wastrel. Perhaps he did not even know what a king weapon was. "Shopkeeper, may I ask how much this king weapon costs?" Jianqin asked. 50 million supreme grade crystal coins, replied the shopkeeper. What 50 million top-grade crystal coins? Nanyan Lai immediately leapt in fright when he heard the price. He asked in disbelief, "Shopkeeper, are you sure? A sword like this is worth 50 million? Young Master Nanyan Lai, looks like you don't know the origins of the king weapon. If this king weapon is taken to the Tianyuan continent, it'll cause a storm of blood. 50 million is already a low price," explained the shopkeeper. "How can 50 million top-grade crystal coins be so expensive?" Nanyan Lai's face became ugly. He felt extremely awkward. He knew nothing about the matters of the Tianyuan continent, so he obviously did not know how valuable a king weapon was. He originally wanted to buy the king weapon and gift it to the woman beside him so that he could win her affection. But he had never thought that the king weapon would be so expensive. It had reached the high price of 50 million supreme grade crystal coins. Even to the Nanyan clan, 50 million was a great fortune. It was not something he could use. Qing Yishuan did not even glance at Nanyan Lai. She took out a medallion and waved it before the shopkeeper. She said, "Shopkeeper, this is my identity medallion. May I ask if you can give me some time?" This is." The shopkeeper recognized the medallion in Qing Yishuan's hand with a single glance, and his face immediately changed drastically. "Don't think that you're the only one with something like that. I have one as well. Shopkeeper, this is my identity medallion. I want this king weapon." Jianqin took out his identity medallion as well. The shopkeeper paled the moment he saw Jianqin take out his identity medallion. He directly vomited a mouthful of blood as he staggered backwards. His gaze toward Jianqin was filled with fear as his heart churned. He had seen a hazy figure sitting in a majestic divine hall through the medallion. He radiated with a great pressure, causing the world to tremble. It was as if he was a god, sacred and inviolable. Although he did not recognize the hazy figure, he had an inexplicable idea of the figure's identity the moment he saw it. It was the hall master of the Poseidon Hall, one of the 3 supreme experts of the sea region. The shopkeeper's gaze toward Jianqin had completely changed. It was a gaze of fear because he understood that someone who could take out a medallion like that was definitely an extremely important figure in the divine hall. Even the person behind the scenes of the rare treasure house would not dare to offend him. "Shopkeeper, who are you selling this king weapon to now?" Jianqin took back the medallion and said with a faint smile as he looked at the frightened shopkeeper, "Honorable warrior, it is this lowly one who did not recognize Mount Tai. If there was any disrespect earlier, please forgive me. This lowly one will naturally sell this king weapon to you." The shopkeeper's attitude toward Jianqin had a great change, becoming respectful. Seeing the shopkeeper's expression toward Jianqin, Nanyan Lai couldn't help feeling curious. He wondered just what was the identity of this young man to actually make the shopkeeper of the rare treasure house treat him with such respect. Even he, the young master of the Nanyan clan, would not be able to enjoy such treatment. Also, just what is the identity of this young lady to be able to boast about buying a king weapon worth 50 million crystal coins? Such a large sum of money is definitely not something an ordinary person can take out. Looking at her appearance, she doesn't even frown. Moreover, what is the medallion she showed the shopkeeper just now? It actually caused the shopkeeper to turn pale with fright. Could it be that her identity is also not ordinary? Nanyan Lai began to have suspicions in his heart. However, he seemed to have thought of something soon after. He felt a burst of joy in his heart. He said, "If I, Nanyan Lai, am able to make contact with this lady and make her my companion, then my position in the clan will definitely rise to another level." When he thought up to here, Strong confidence instantly swelled in Nanyun Lai's heart. He was the young master of the Nanyun clan and possessed a deep background. Moreover, he was handsome, confident, and elegant. He believed that so long as he put in some effort, he would surely be able to melt the icy cold heart of this woman before him. Young lady, isn't it just a king weapon? There are weapons like this everywhere in the sea realm. Once I return, I will immediately order the people of the clan to search for a king weapon in the sea realm. I believe it won't be long before you find a king weapon that's exactly the same as this one. I just don't know your name or where you live. If I find a king weapon, I'll be able to send it to you as soon as possible. Nanyun Lai immediately launched a fierce attack on Qing Yishuan. However, Nanyun Lai's thoughts of a toad wanting to eat swan meat were destined to fail. Qing Yishuan coldly stared at Nanyun Lai and said, "If you dare say another word of nonsense, I'll immediately throw you out." Nanyun Lai's face changed slightly when he saw that his enthusiasm had actually been met with her cold gaze. He said, "Young lady, I am from the Nanyun clan." Nanyun Lai wanted to use his clan's name to intimidate Qing Yishuan, but before he could finish speaking, Qing Yishuan directly waved her hand. Immediately, a huge force struck Nanyun Lai, sending him flying. He crashed through the window and onto the street outside. "How dare you injure the young master of my Nanyun clan?" The two guards that Nanyun Lai had brought with him both roared furiously. They charged at Qing Yishuan at the same time. However, Qing Yishuan merely waved her hand gently, and the two guards immediately followed in Nanyun Lai's footsteps. They were both sent flying by a powerful force, smashing through the window and landing on the street. Although the shopkeeper saw all of this, he did not dare to stop Qing Yishuan. After all, he clearly recognized the guest's medallion in Qing Yishuan's hand. Jianchen had already taken out a large pile of crystal coins from his space ring. Afterward, he borrowed some from the Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan and gathered 50 million supreme grade crystal coins to buy the king armament. He stowed it away in his space ring under Qing Yishuan's furious gaze. "Senior, farewell." Jianchen clasped his hands at Qing Yishuan before leaping out of the window with Xia Wang and the others. He directly rose into the sky and left. Qing Yishuan stared at Jianchen's departing figure with a sunken face. Jianchen had first stolen the map fragment of the 8 wastelands that she had paid a heavy price for, and even violated her. Now he had actually stolen the king armament that she valued so much. Qing Yishuan's hatred for Jianchen had reached the limit. "You're the first person of the younger generation who dares to openly oppose me. There will be a day when I, Qing Yishuan, make you regret it. I refuse to believe that Old Turtle will stay by your side and protect you for the rest of your life," Qing Yishuan said through gritted teeth before disappearing from the pavilion of rarities with a flash. As soon as Qing Yishuan had left, Nanyun Lai charged to the 5th floor furiously. He furiously said, "How dare they treat this young master like this? They're looking down on the Nanyun clan, huh? Where are they?" Nanyun Lai looked around and had already lost sight of Qing Yishuan and Jianchen. "Shopkeeper, where are they? Where did they run off to?" "Humph, they want to run off after hitting this young master? How could it be so easy?" Nanyun Lai had nowhere to vent his anger, so he shouted at the shopkeeper. The shopkeeper stared at Nanyun Lai with a sneer and said, "Young master Nanyun Lai, they've already shown great mercy by not crippling you. Not only do you not know what's good for you, you even want to take revenge. If you really do anger them, your Nanyun clan will be dragged into it. Do you know who that woman is? Then tell me who she is. I'll definitely go find her in the future," Nanyun Lai sneered. The medallion that woman took out showed her identity as a guest elder of the Palace of Poseidon. To be able to become a guest elder of the Palace of Poseidon, she's definitely no ordinary person. According to her appearance, I believe she should be one of the 8 great human experts. Qing Yishuan, a 16th star warrior of the Poseidon. The shopkeeper sneered at Nanyun Lai. "What? Shopkeeper, W, what did you say?" Chapter 902. Jianqin, Xiaowang, and the Grand Elder left the city together. The three of them flew high in the sky, while Jianqin constantly studied the saint armament in his hand. He would gently stroke the mirror-like surface of the sword from time to time as unconcealable fondness filled his face. This saint armament suits me just too well. With this saint armament, I can even put up a fight against regular 15th star Poseidon warriors, Jianqin murmured to himself. His voice was filled with joy. Saint armaments were extremely powerful. They were not as docile as ruler armaments. If they were ruler armaments, even an Earth Saint Master would be able to use them. They would only be able to use 20% of their power without any side effects. However, Jianqin's Saint armament could release strands of sharp sword qi on its own. It was impossible to use it without the strength of a holy emperor, or they would probably be injured by the weapon before they could even use it. Jianqin needed to circulate his chaotic force in order to wield the saint armament. He needed to use the defenses of the chaotic body to ensure that he would not be injured by the sword qi. However, even with that being the case, his hand that gripped the saint armament was left with white marks from the sword qi. The Grand Elder could not help but sigh inside after witnessing the defenses of Jianqin's body. He really is the ruler of our turtle clan. His body's defenses are actually so great. He's basically using the specialties of our turtle clan to the fullest. Saint armaments are extremely rare on the Tianyuan continent. Only a few ancient clans possess some. I never thought that I would be able to obtain such a rare item so easily. Jianqin was secretly delighted. Although the saint armament had cost him 50 million high-quality crystal coins, in Jianqin's eyes, even 100 million high-quality crystal coins would not be able to compare to the saint armament, let alone 50 million. Suddenly, Jianqin's eyes narrowed. He finally shifted his gaze away from the saint armament and looked ahead. He saw a dazzling red streak of light shooting toward him with lightning-like speed. The red streak of light moved extremely quickly, crossing several dozen kilometers in a single moment. It had already approached Jianqin. The Grand Elder also discovered the red streak of light shooting over from afar. His face immediately changed, and he said, "Ruler, be careful." The Grand Elder arrived before Jianqin in a flash and directly threw a punch at the red streak of light. The red streak of light seemed to be an illusory ball of light. It did not possess a physical form, so the fist directly passed through the red streak of light without stopping it at all. The red streak of light passed through the Grand Elder's body and directly entered Jianqin's body. Immediately, a blood-red light erupted from Jianqin's body. It vaguely condensed into a blood-red, demonic blade above his head. This is the highest bounty of the Heaven's Spirit Hall, and it concealed the strength of the person being hunted. The Grand Elder's face drastically changed when he recognized the blood-red light above Jianqin's head. Jianqin also became stern. He felt a strange energy invade his body, actually forming a huge net that wrapped around his dantian. "You actually want to seal my strength? Don't even think about it." Jianqin was furious. Under the control of his mind, the chaotic Niden in his dantian spewed out large amounts of chaotic force. It surged through Jianqin's body with a destructive presence before turning into a furious dragon. It charged toward the sealing power with an unstoppable presence. The chaotic force and the sealing power collided and immediately entered a stalemate. However, the strength and uniqueness of chaotic force was incomparable to ordinary powers. Very soon, the sealing power was slowly devoured by the chaotic force. In the end, it was completely devoured, leaving nothing behind. After devouring the power of the seal, Jianqin could clearly sense that his chaotic force had increased by a sliver. However, the sliver was extremely small, so small that it was almost negligible. The blood-red light around Jianqin gradually vanished as the sealing power was devoured. 2 whistles rang out from afar. 2 figures flew toward Jianqin with lightning-like speed. They radiated with killing intent. They had come with ill intentions. Oh no, it's 16-star experts. They're from the heavens' spirit hall. Run, ruler. The Grand Elder's face became extremely ugly. He immediately pulled Jianshan away. However, they were not as fast as the two 16-star experts. Before they could get very far, the two 16-star experts flew over Jianshan's head as streaks of light, blocking Jianshan's path. The two 16th-star experts were young men around the age of 30. They wore black robes, and although their appearances were rather common, they were exactly the same. They were a pair of twins. The two of them glared at Jianshan as heavy killing intent flickered in their eyes. One of them sneered, "No one can escape after the Heaven's Spirit Hall has issued a bounty." The 8 great human experts, Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi. It's actually you. As outsiders, you actually want to kill the ruler of our turtle clan. Don't you want to stay in the sea realm anymore? The Grand Elder growled. The great Zhou Emperor and Zhou Yunzi both laughed aloud at the same time. They said, "Although we're outsiders, we're working for the Heaven's Spirit Hall. This time, it's not us who wants to kill him, but the Heaven's Spirit Hall. If you want to blame someone, blame this ignorant brat for offending the Heaven's Spirit Hall. Die." A huge sword that was as wide as a palm appeared in the hands of the two of them. They suddenly swung down and sent 2 powerful sword qi toward Jianshan. Although the two of them had casually swung out the attack, a casual attack from the Holy Emperor possessed enough power to destroy the world with their strength at the 5th heavenly layer. The 2 sword qi shot through the air with powerful ripples of energy, heading toward Jianshan. "I'll stop them." "Ruler, leave quickly," the Grand Elder called out. The Grand Elder bellowed. His body began to rapidly swell, turning into a 10-meter-long tortoise in a single moment. He blocked Jianshan's path, using his shell to block a casual attack from the Emperor and Zhou Yunzi. The Grand Elder was at the 4th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor, slightly weaker than the two of them. However, his most terrifying aspect was his defense. Even a 5th heavenly layer Holy Emperor would need to use his full strength to injure the Grand Elder. The Grand Elder was not injured at all after taking on the attacks from the two of them. He threw Jianshan far away with all his might before turning around to engage in a battle with the two of them. He tried to keep them busy, and by time for Jianshan. "Brother, I'll keep him busy. You go kill the target," Zhou Yunzi said emotionlessly. She immediately launched a fierce attack at the Grand Elder. "All right, I only need a single strike to kill him," the Emperor said confidently. He immediately pursued Jianshan. "Don't even think about harming the ruler." Secret technique of the Turtle Clan universe in the shell. The Grand Elder bellowed out. The shell on him immediately left his body and flew high into the air. In the blink of an eye, it had turned into an extremely huge shell that hovered in the air. At this moment, the turtle shell was over 10,000 meters in size. It hovered in the air like a dark cloud, causing the light in the surroundings to suddenly dim. A great suction force appeared from the shell, sucking in the Emperor and Zhou Yunzi. Afterward, the Grand Elder's figure disappeared into the shell as well, as if he had fused with it. Bang! 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 A muffled rumble rang out from the turtle shell. The huge turtle shell in the air began to shake violently. Vaguely, a vast and boundless energy, pulse, radiated from the turtle shell. Afterwards, the turtle shell fell from the sky and heavily smashed into the ground. It created a deep crater in the ground, kicking up dust into the air. The Emperor and Zhou Yunzi had already begun fighting the Grand Elder in the shell, so it was possible to imagine just how intense the battle was. The light in Jianshan's eyes flickered with uncertainty as he stared at the shaking shell. He knew that the Grand Elder would not be able to keep the Emperor and Zhou Yunzi trapped for long by himself. Before long, the two of them would break free. It was impossible for him to get very far in such a short amount of time, so he was still hesitating over whether he should use God's descent to kill the two of them. If he wanted to kill 2 5th heavenly layer Saint Kings with God's descent, he would need to sacrifice 1,000 years of his lifespan at the very least. This was because he did not know whether the two of them had grasped a Saint tier battle skill. At this moment, a blue streak of light shot toward Genshin from afar. A gleam of light flashed through Genshin's eyes. The king artifact appeared in his hand, and he swung it out with devastating energy. However, the blue streak of light directly passed through Genshin's king artifact and disappeared into Genshin's body. Immediately, dazzling blue light shone from Genshin's body and condensed into a dark blue serpent dragon above his head. It opened its gaping mouth and revealed its sharp teeth. "That's the highest bounty of the Serpent God Hall," Xiaowang cried out. His face was extremely ugly. The highest bounty of the Serpent God Hall was the same as the highest bounty of the Heaven's Spirit Hall. Not only did it make the target extremely obvious, but it also sealed their strength. Genshin's face paled. He had never thought that the experts of the Serpent God Hall would appear at a time like this. The situation was becoming more and more disadvantageous for him. Genshin immediately used his chaotic force to devour the sealing power. As soon as he finished, a figure with a valiant presence shot over with lightning-like speed, targeting Genshin. Genshin's eyes became filled with determination. He immediately prepared to use God's descent. He had no other choice now. Genshin formed a seal with his hands before his chest. He raised his head and pointed his forehead at the sky. He was preparing to use God's descent. "Ha ha ha! You must be the person the Serpent God Hall is hunting down. You're actually able to make the Serpent God Hall treat you with so much importance as a mere 14th star, even forcing me, Li Fengxing, to personally take action. You can rest in peace after dying to my hands." Li Fengxing laughed aloud as he radiated with a valiant presence. Soon after, Li Fengxing saw Genshin, who was preparing to use God's descent. He immediately let out a soft cry of surprise. "Are you trying to use a secret technique to escape? How can I let you off so easily?" Li Fengxing's speed suddenly increased. He arrived before Genshin as a blur and kicked Genshin in the chest. Chapter 903. Genshin spat out a mouthful of blood as he was blown away. Li Fengxing's kick had already broken several ribs in his chest, causing him to be quite heavily injured. Genshin's heart sank. With the god's descent interrupted, he could no longer threaten the Holy Emperor at the 5th heavenly layer. Li Fengxing would not give him the time to use the technique again, and he had no ability to escape from the pursuit of a 16th star expert. Although he could temporarily remain safe by hiding in the Saint artifact, the situation would only worsen if Li Fengxing took the Saint artifact away and brought it to the Serpent God Hall. "Brat die!" Li Fengxing laughed aloud. His face was cruel as he directly sent a palm strike toward Genshin. He did not treat Genshin with any importance at all. Genshin was stern. His gaze was piercing. Suddenly, a surging sword intent radiated from his body. At that moment, he seemed to have become a supreme sword, shining with a startling light. The Saint armament appeared in Genshin's hand. His arm suddenly trembled as he stabbed out with lightning-like speed. The attack was extremely fast. It seemed simple, but it contained Genshin's comprehension of the laws of the sword, causing the attack to seem flawless. It was perfect. The Saint armament collided with Li Fengxing's palm strike with destructive chaotic force. The Saint armament directly pierced Li Fengxing's hand, and fresh blood immediately flowed from the wound. Li Fengxing produced a sound of surprise. He suddenly clenched his hand that had been pierced by the Saint armament, locking it firmly in his hand. He stared at the Saint armament in surprise. This is actually a Saint weapon left behind by the Holy Emperor of the human clan, a 9th heavenly layer expert, when he was nearing the end of his lifespan. Li Fengxing said in surprise, completely ignoring the intense pain coming from his palm. A gleam of light flashed through Genshin's eyes when he saw Li Fengxing grab the King Saint weapon. With a thought, The destructive chaotic force immediately shot out from the King Saint weapon and began to ravage Li Fengxing's hand, causing the wound to widen. This time, Li Fengxing's expression finally changed. He subconsciously loosened his grip and stared at the Saint weapon in Jianqin's hand in shock. He exclaimed, "Just what kind of power is this? It's so strange." Jianqin took advantage of the situation to retrieve his Saint weapon. Without any hesitation, his arms immediately began to move rapidly. The Saint weapon thrust out continuously, turning into a dense blur that shot towards Li Fengxing. The blurs were secretive and overlapped, completely covering the space in front of him. Jianqin used his swift sword style to its limit. In that instant, he had stabbed out countless times with unbelievable speed. Li Fengxing became stunned as he stared at the dense blurs. He could not help but praise. "Every strike seems to be a blur, but it's actually solid. Not bad, you're quite fast. If it were someone with the same strength as you, they would definitely die. It's a pity that the difference between our strength is just too great. What can speed do to me? Space freeze." Li Fengxing extended a finger, and the swords in the air immediately disappeared. The space around Jianqin immediately froze, trapping him in the air, unable to move at all. Jianqin's heart sank. He poured his chaotic force into the Saint weapon, and it immediately erupted with an even more terrifying destructive power. It caused the surrounding space to tremble slightly as it forcefully broke through Li Fengxing's frozen space. Jianqin was overjoyed when he saw how he had actually broken through the frozen space of the 16-star expert. The power of the Saint weapon really did not disappoint him. He could actually use such strength with it. Jianqin did not hesitate at all. He charged at Li Fengxing with the Saint weapon as hard as he could. You're quite capable. You can actually break through my frozen space as the 14th star." The surprise in Li Fengxing's eyes became even heavier as he sighed in amazement once again. He was the leader of the 5 magical beasts, and his strength had reached the 6th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor. He was extremely surprised that Jianqin could break through his frozen space. However, Li Fengxing sneered soon after. He said, "I don't want to waste time with you. I lend your life right now. The sooner I complete the mission, the sooner I can leave this place. This place is far too close to the Poseidon Hall. Kid, I'll show you my true strength right now." Li Fengxing clenched his hand into a fist as invisible world force rapidly gathered. The world force was controlled by a 6th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor, so it was far, far more powerful than the world force controlled by saint rulers. Although it was the same world force, the difference between the two was like the difference between heaven and earth. "This is a punch with 40% of my strength," Li Fengxing growled. Li Fengxing shouted in a deep voice. He threw out a punch, which caused the space in front of him to distort to an extreme degree. Madness filled Jianqin's eyes. Right now, he could only fight with his life on the line. There was no way out. He stabbed out with his saint weapon as hard as he could, colliding with Li Fengxing's punch. Jianqin vomited a mouthful of blood, which turned into a cloud of blood that drifted through the air. He was blown far away, like a cannonball. His face became pale, without a single trace of blood. He constantly coughed up blood along with bits of his organs. Although the attack was only 40% of Li Fengxing's strength, he was still a 6th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor after all. It was not something Jianqin, who was only a saint ruler, could block. He was already heavily injured. "You're actually still alive." Li Fengxing stared at Jianqin, who still hovered in the air in shock. Disbelief filled his face. He understood the power of his punch extremely well. It was enough to kill any 9th heavenly layer saint ruler. 40% of my strength is actually not enough to kill you. Then I'll show you 50% of my strength, Li Fengxing coldly said. At this moment, dark clouds suddenly covered the sky, causing all the specks of light in the surroundings to suddenly darken. The huge tortoise shell produced a series of muffled sounds as it shakily flew above Li Fengxing. Then a powerful suction force appeared from the tortoise shell, sucking Li Fengxing in as well. Li Fengxing's eyes shone with a vicious light. He furiously roared, "You old turtle, your shell may be tough, but it's already reached its limit after withstanding the attacks of the two emperors. You actually want to suck me in as well. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Let me smash your shell to pieces." Li Fengxing's voice became softer and softer. He had already been sucked into the shell. "Ruler, run." The voice of the Grand Elder rang out from the turtle shell. He gasped for breath, and his voice was rather weak. Clearly he was in great pain. Although the defenses of the Turtle clan were extremely great, it was still rather difficult for him to endure the attacks of the 2/5 Heavenly Layer, Holy Emperor, and Zhou Yunzi at the same time. It had basically exceeded his limits. "Grand Elder!" Jianqin called out. His gaze toward the turtle shell was filled with worry. It was already very difficult for the Grand Elder to keep the two emperors busy, so now that Li Fengxing, who was even stronger, had joined in as well, it was even worse. "Don't worry about me. Run, ruler!" The Grand Elder's voice rang out again. His voice was filled with worry. Jianqin stared at the turtle shell deeply. He had only known the Grand Elder for a very short time, yet the Grand Elder had actually risked his life to save him. This deeply affected him. He then gritted his teeth and quickly left with Xiaowang. He hurried in the direction of the Poseidon Hall as quickly as he could. "Old turtle, since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." Li Fengxing's voice rang out from the turtle shell. Li Fengxing's roaring voice came from the huge turtle shell. Then a vast amount of energy spread out from the turtle shell, causing the turtle shell to make a muffled sound. The sound was so loud that it was like a muffled thunder in the sky, majestically transmitting over 100 kilometers away. The tortoise shell shook violently and a crack appeared on its surface. "Old turtle, your turtle shell really is tough. I wonder if it can endure our Saint Tier battle skills." The Emperor's voice rang out from the turtle shell as well. Immediately the surroundings changed. A terrifying pressure descended from the sky, filling the surroundings. The Emperor and Zhou Yunzi had both used Saint Tier battle skills at the same time. Boom! With a violent boom, the Saint Tier battle skills unleashed by the Zhou Tianzi and Zhou Yunzi exploded within the shell, striking the huge shell viciously. The turtle shell, which was over 10,000 meters wide, directly shattered in the sky. It was blown away in all directions by the powerful force. A rain of blood fell from the sky and dyed the entire region red. The heavy smell of blood permeated the entire region while the Grand Elder had already vanished. "Ruler, run." A message from a lingering will appeared in the sky before slowly disappearing. He had already been annihilated by the Saint Tier battle skills used by the Emperor and Zhou Yunzi at the same time. Only a sliver of his will to protect Jianqin remained. It emitted a weak sound before rapidly dissipating into the surroundings. "Grand Elder!" Jianqin sorrowfully cried out. He was devastated. He knew the fate of the Grand Elder of the Turtle clan. He could already sense that the Grand Elder's soul had already vanished. Only a lingering will remained in the surroundings, unable to forget about his safety. The rain of blood dyed his body red, turning him into a bloody person. This was the Grand Elder's blood. The Grand Elder had died to save Jianqin. He had died to the Saint Tier battle skills of the Emperor and Zhou Yunzi. Two huge strands of sword qi tore through the rain of blood and shot towards Jianqin and Xiaowang. Zhou Yunzi were hovering several thousand meters away. They had completely locked onto Jianqin and Xiaowang's presence when they unleashed their attacks. Chapter 904. Boom! Amidst a violent boom, the two fingers completely condensed from energy collided with the sword qi shot out by the two brothers. Immediately, a terrifying energy shockwave erupted, reverberating mightily in the void, causing it to tremble. The rain of blood in the sky had already dispersed. blown into the distance by the violent ripple of energy. However, the ground below had become bright red, covered in the blood of the Grand Elder. "Insolent outsider! How dare you kill an elder of my hall, Poseidon? The old man will not spare you." An aged voice rang out from behind. The voice was filled with boundless anger, and a terrifying pressure crushed down. The expressions of the two brothers and Li Fengxing drastically changed when they sensed the terror of the pressure. Although they had not seen the person who had come, they understood that the person was definitely not someone they could handle. "The person who has come is at least an elder of the divine hall." Li Fengxing became solemn. Li Fengxing's face became stern. Without any hesitation, he immediately turned around and fled, no longer caring about Jianqin. Even fleeing was a race against time when they faced an expert like that. If they were slightly slower, there was a chance that the expert would catch up. At that time, they would lose a layer of skin even if they managed to survive. Although completing the Divine Hall's mission was important, their own lives were even more important. "He sure has come quickly. He's at least at the 9th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor, or even at great perfection." "Let's go," Li Fengxing said. The Emperor and Zhou Yunzi were stern as well. They no longer dared to remain there for even a second longer. They turned around and fled, disappearing into the horizon in the blink of an eye. Jianqin was intoxicated by sorrow. He raised his head to look at the deep blue sky as his face was filled with sorrow. The huge turtle shell in the sky had already vanished. Even the familiar figure of the Grand Elder was nowhere to be found. Only a lingering will lingered in the surroundings, which had yet to completely disperse. It was the lingering will of the Grand Elder before he died. It was filled with reluctance and longing. The Grand Elder was dead. Even his corpse was gone. The only thing that remained was a pool of blood and a turtle shell that had shattered into countless palm-sized pieces. "Grand Elder." Jianqin's voice was filled with sorrow. He had only reunited with the Grand Elder for a short period of time, but the Grand Elder had given up on his life to save him, resulting in the destruction of his soul. Even his corpse was not left behind. His fate was extremely tragic. Jianqin would never be able to repay what the Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan had done for him, even if he spent his entire life. There was nothing that could be done about the destruction of his soul. Even the origin energy of Radiant Saint Force was unable to save him. Although the origin energy of Radiant Saint Force could bring someone back from the dead, the prerequisite was that the person's soul was still present and their body was in perfect condition. Neither of these two conditions could be missing. A figure quickly appeared in front of Jianqin from behind. It was an old man in his 70s. He was the temple elder who had rushed over from the temple, Elder Hong. Elder Hong stared at the blood on the ground with a sunken face. Heavy killing intent filled his eyes as he coldly said, "The Serpent God Hall and the Heaven's Spirit Hall are really becoming more and more arrogant. They've actually killed an elder of our Poseidon Hall. It's a pity that I've come too late." Elder Hong hovered before Jianqin. He raised his head to look at the sky and sighed deeply. The Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan may have died, but he has not died in peace. His lingering will has not dispersed. Elder Hong reached out, and the lingering will in the surroundings immediately condensed. In the end, it formed the hunched figure of the Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan. It was as thin as a shadow. "Grand Elder!" Jianqin could not help but cry out when he saw the Grand Elder. His voice was filled with sorrow. He knew that the Grand Elder's lingering will had only been condensed, so it would disperse very soon. It would not last for too long. The old man was useless. He failed to protect the ruler. "The hope of my Turtle Clan for 30,000 years has been destroyed." This was a message from the Grand Elder's lingering will. It was his final thought before he died. It was filled with an intense reluctance, which was why the lingering will had been formed. "Don't worry, Grand Elder. I will definitely revive the Turtle Clan. That's my promise to you," Jianqin said to the Grand Elder's lingering will. His voice was filled with determination. The Grand Elder had died for him, so he needed to complete his final wish. The Grand Elder's lingering was slowly dispersed. It was blown away by the wind, turning into nothingness. From then on, he had vanished from the world forever. Jian-Qin stared blankly at the empty space. He was unable to return to his senses for a very long time. A while later, he slowly landed on the ground and used his trembling hands to pick up the fragments of the shell that had scattered around him one by one. This was the only thing the Grand Elder had left behind after his death. He wanted to bring it back to the Turtle Clan as the Grand Elder's body and properly bury it. Sigh. Elder Hong let out a long sigh when he saw this. He did not leave. Instead, he remained there and waited for Jian-Qin to collect the shells. Xia Wang quickly joined in the collection of the tortoiseshell fragments. The two of them collected the scattered fragments of the tortoiseshell one by one. After 7 days, the two of them finally collected all the shells. They were stowed away in a space ring by Jian-Qin. Jian-Qin, come back to the Divine Hall with me, Elder Hong finally said after 7 days. Jian-Qin gently shook his head. No, Elder Hong. I don't want to return to the Divine Hall for now. I want to go to the Turtle Clan to bury the Grand Elder. After a moment of thought, Elder Hong said, All right, I will pay attention to the movements of the Heavens, Spirit Hall, and Serpent God Hall at all times during this time to prevent them from sending any more experts. If you come across any experts from the territory of the Poseidon Hall, all you need to do is show them the medallion the Hall Master gave you. With that, Elder Hong turned and left. Jian-Qin and Xia Wang left as well after Elder Hong's departure. They made their way to the Turtle Clan. At this moment, the second and third elders were in a secret discussion within the Turtle Clan. They had cast down a powerful barrier in the surroundings, isolating them from all sound. Second elder, the situation seems to be bad. The ruler of our Turtle Clan that has vanished for 30,000 years has actually reappeared. This will mess up our plans, the third elder said with a heavy voice. The second elder sternly nodded. It is indeed disadvantageous for us to have a problem like this at a time like this. Fortunately, the ruler isn't very powerful, so the two of us can still keep him busy for a few days. However, the Grand Elder has already gone with the ruler. With the Grand Elder protecting him, it'll be difficult for us to kill the ruler. If the ruler doesn't die, the Turtle Clan will end up in his hands sooner or later. We need to contact the Taihong Clan and get them to begin their plan as soon as possible, the third elder said with a heavy voice. At this moment, the second elder's face changed. He waved his hand and removed the barrier. He said to the door, Didn't I tell you not to disturb us if there's nothing important? Second elder, the ruler has returned. A heavy voice rang out from the door. What? He's returned? The expressions of the two elders changed slightly. They looked at each other before walking out at the same time. At this moment, Jian-Qin stood in the huge square in the center of the Turtle Clan emotionlessly with a space ring in his hand. Xia Wang stood a step behind Jian-Qin as he cautiously looked around. A large group of people had already gathered around the two of them. They were all clansmen of the Turtle Clan, and all of them stared at Jian-Qin. They were either surprised, doubtful, or excited. None of them showed any hostility. I can sense a strange pressure from him. It seems to be the presence of a ruler. Is he really the ruler? Is he really the ruler of our Turtle Clan? A ruler has finally appeared in our Turtle Clan. It's been 30,000 years. It's been 30,000 years. The ruler has finally appeared. It's time for our Turtle Clan to display our former glory. The clansmen in the surroundings all discussed excitedly and with mixed feelings. A few of the older clansmen even shed tears of excitement. The second and third elders have arrived. A clear voice rang out from the crowd. A loud voice rang out from outside the crowd. They all parted to form a path. The second and third elders strode in with a group of saint rulers behind them. Why have you returned? Where's the Grand Elder? The second elder stared straight at Jianqin. He was very unfriendly. The Grand Elder is already dead, Jianqin said with an extremely heavy voice. The two elders were stunned at the same time. They asked in disbelief, "What did you say? The Grand Elder is already dead?" The clansmen in the surroundings all fell into an uproar when they heard Jianqin's words. They were filled with disbelief. Jianqin said nothing. He carefully passed the space ring in his hand to the second elder. The second elder doubtfully accepted the space ring and checked it. His face immediately changed when he saw the contents of the space ring. He became sorrowful. The third elder seemed to realize something when he saw the second elder's expression. He immediately became stern and took the space ring from the second elder to check its contents. He became extremely sorrowful as well. How did the Grand Elder die? The third elder asked sorrowfully. In order to save me, the Grand Elder was slain by Li Fengxing of the Serpent God Hall and Zhou Yunzi of the Heaven's Spirit Hall, Jianqin said with a heavy voice. What? So you were the one who killed the Grand Elder? The second elder was furious as he pointed at Jianqin and yelled out, "The Grand Elder died because of us, but it has already happened. Let's bury the Grand Elder properly," Jianqin said. The two elders looked at each other and said nothing more. They immediately began to hold a grand funeral for the Grand Elder. Before long, the news of the Grand Elder's death spread. It caused quite a stir in the territory of the Poseidon Hall. After all, the Grand Elder was a 15th-star expert as well as an elder of the Poseidon Hall. His death was extremely shocking. 3 middle-aged men sat in a majestic castle several 100,000 kilometers away from the Turtle Clan. We've just received news that the Grand Elder of the Turtle Clan is dead. There's no one else who can stop us now. Pass down the order and prepare to move, a blue-robed, middle-aged man with inch-long hair said with a deep voice. Chapter 905. The Turtle Clan is still preparing for the Grand Elder's funeral. Let's go after the funeral. That way, it'll be even easier for our Taihong clan to swallow them up, said the last middle-aged man. Just as the Turtle Clan was holding a grand funeral for the Grand Elder, another shocking piece of news spread across the entire Sea Realm. All 8 pieces of the Octaterra map fragments had appeared. They would gather at the boundary of the 3 worlds in a year's time and fuse into one to search for the Octaterra Divine Hall. The appearance of the Divine Hall of the 8 Wastelands caused a huge commotion in the Sea Realm. The Divine Hall had been left behind by the Emperor of the 8 Wastelands in the past. It was rumored that the Emperor had never taken in any disciples and had always been alone. Before he passed away, he had left behind his legacy and all his wealth in the Divine Hall before using a great ability to hide the Divine Hall in an unknown space. No one could find it. Only the map he had left behind could find the Divine Hall's location. As soon as the news of the 8 Wastelands fusing spread, the Sea Realm immediately began to move. Many large organizations and clans began to make preparations. They all began to nurture their clansmen who had reached the peak of the 9th heavenly layer of Saint Rulers, increasing their strength as much as possible before sending them to the Poseidon Hall in hopes of obtaining the right to enter the Divine Hall of the 8 Wastelands. In order to obtain the right to enter the Divine Hall of the 8 Wastelands, many large organizations fought to the bitter end. They had basically used up all the connections they possessed. There were even quite a few clans who offered many priceless treasures to the Hall Elders in hopes that the Hall Elders would give them a spot. This was because as long as one could enter the Octaterra Divine Palace, they would have the opportunity to obtain the Octaterra Emperor's inheritance. This was a huge treasure that could not be bought no matter how much wealth one had. It attracted all the experts of the oceanic race in the sea region world, causing countless people to be envious. Other than the legacy, there was a chance of obtaining the treasures left behind by the Emperor of the 8 Wastelands in the Divine Hall. The treasures that could be stored by the Emperor would definitely be priceless. Not a single one of them would be ordinary. The Turtle Clan was still carrying out the Grand Elder's funeral. The entire clan was shrouded in heavy sorrow. All the people of the Turtle Clan were heavy-hearted. The Grand Elder was the most powerful person in the clan right now. His departure had greatly weakened the clan once again. They were no longer as powerful as before. The 8 fragments of the map will be fused in a year, and the divine hall of the 8 wastelands will be opened. Jianchen also received the news of the fusion of the map fragments during the Grand Elder's funeral. He immediately clenched his fists tightly. I will definitely go to the divine hall of the 8 wastelands. I hope what I gain there won't disappoint me. Once I obtain great strength, I will personally kill my way to the Heaven's Spirit Hall and Serpent God Hall. I will personally kill Li Fengxing, Zhou Tianzi, and Zhou Yunzi to avenge the Grand Elder. A sliver of heavy killing intent flashed through Jianchen's eyes. The Grand Elder's funeral lasted for 7 whole days, but the Turtle Clan did not calm down because of this. As soon as the funeral ended, over a dozen experts aggressively arrived. They hovered in the air as they coldly stared at the clansmen below. A saint ruler loudly said, "We are members of the Tai Hong clan. Everyone in the Turtle Clan, listen up. From today onwards, your Turtle Clan will be under the control of my Tai Hong clan. You will become a part of my clan. If anyone refuses to submit..." With that, he extended a finger, and a powerful energy immediately shot out from the tip of his finger, striking a large rock below. With a boom, the rock shattered into countless pieces and shot into the surroundings. He continued, "Do you see that? If anyone refuses to submit, this will be your fate." The Turtle Clan immediately fell silent, but soon after, all of them furiously stared at the experts in the sky. Various furious cries rang out from all directions. "The Tai Hong clan actually wants to swallow our Turtle Clan. How bold of the Tai Hong clan. Back when our Turtle Clan was powerful, the Tai Hong clan was not even born yet. You're dreaming if you want our Turtle Clan to become a subordinate clan of your Tai Hong clan. We'd rather die than submit. We'd rather dye the ground with blood than submit to your Tai Hong clan. Yes, we'd rather die than submit. Even if we die here, we'll make the Tai Hong clan pay a heavy price." All the clansmen of the Turtle Clan were furious. None of them were afraid. Although the Turtle Clan had declined, they could not allow their former glory to be blasphemed. The second and third elders looked at each other before flying into the air at the same time. They faced off against the people of the Tai Hong clan in the air as they radiated with tremendous presences. The entire clan immediately fell silent when they saw the 2 strongest experts of the clan take action. "The Tai Hong clan wants to annex our Turtle Clan. That's just wishful thinking. You should all leave. Our Turtle Clan will not submit to anyone," the second elder said with a deep voice. "Yes, we will never submit to anyone." A strong voice of agreement immediately rang out from below. Among the dozen or so people of the Tai Hong clan, the middle-aged man standing at the very front sneered, "Does your Turtle Clan really want to turn into a river of blood? With the strength of my Tai Hong clan, exterminating your Turtle Clan is a piece of cake. As the second elder of the Turtle Clan, don't you think about your clan?" The middle-aged man was the ancestor of the Tai Hong clan. His name was Tai Do, and he was also the strongest person in the Tai Hong clan. He had already reached the 5th heavenly layer of the Holy Emperor. The second elder fell silent for a while before continuing, "If you can defeat the third elder and I by yourself, my Turtle Clan will temporarily submit to your Tai Hong clan." Tai Do laughed aloud and said, "All right, then I'll fight the 2 of you. Let me see just how powerful the defense of the Turtle Clan is." With that, Tai Do turned around and flew into the distance. The second elder and third elder looked at each other. Without saying anything, they followed Tai Do. Just the shock waves from the battle between the Holy Emperor and Tai Hong were enough to flatten the entire place. If they fought above the Turtle Clan, the entire clan would be destroyed, so they moved the battle to an empty area several hundred kilometers away. All the saint rulers of the Turtle Clan followed them. Only Jianchen and Xia Wang did not move. "Should we go and take a look?" Xie Wang asked from one side. Jianqin shook his head and calmly said, "There's no need. The result has already been decided." Violent booms soon rang out several hundred kilometers away. Vast and boundless energy wreaked havoc in the surroundings, causing the world to change color. The two holy emperor experts of the Turtle Clan had already begun fighting the ancestor of the Taihong clan. All the clansmen of the Turtle Clan nervously gazed in the direction of the battle, although they were unable to see what was going on. This was a battle that would determine the fate of the Turtle Clan. Everyone paid close attention to it. The battle up ahead stopped after a short while. Before long, the second and third elders flew back with pale faces. They were in horrible shape, and blood still dripped from the corner of their mouths. Behind the two of them were the saint rulers of the Turtle Clan who had gone to watch the show. All of them were dejected and in low spirits. The two elders flew back to the clan and dejectedly said, "We've lost." The Turtle Clan fell silent at that moment. All the clansmen became extremely heavy. The two elders were the most powerful people in the Turtle Clan right now. If even the two of them could not defeat the ancestor of the Taihong clan, there was no hope for the Turtle Clan at all. The group of people from the Taihong clan also flew back from afar. The ancestor at the very front was overjoyed. He chuckled aloud. "According to our agreement, your Turtle Clan will belong to my Taihong clan from now on. You will be under my Taihong clan's control." Second elder, third elder, we can't yield. At worst, we'll spend a large amount of money to hire experts to assist our clan, a saint ruler of the Turtle Clan said with a heavy voice. His face was filled with reluctance. Yes, we'll spend a large amount of money to hire experts to deal with the Taihong clan. His words immediately received the agreement of many people. "Shut up!" The third elder's face sank. "Is it so easy to hire experts who can deal with the Taihong clan? And we had an agreement before. Do you want my Turtle Clan to become people who don't keep their word?" The third elder is correct. "Our Turtle Clan can't be people who don't keep their word," the second elder said. He then looked at the ancestor of the Taihong clan and said, "Taihong clan, you've won. From today onwards, my Turtle Clan will join your Taihong clan. Wait." Before the second elder could finish speaking, he was suddenly interrupted by a voice. Jianqin strode over from afar and loudly said, "I am the ruler of the Turtle Clan. I have the right to interfere with all matters of the clan. I declare as the ruler that my Turtle Clan will not join the Taihong clan." Jianqin originally did not want to become the ruler of the Turtle Clan, but the Grand Elder had died for him. He had to complete the Grand Elder's final wish, so he had to become the ruler of the Turtle Clan and shoulder the heavy responsibility of reviving the Turtle Clan. He wanted the Turtle Clan to return to its former glory. The second elder and third elder's faces sank. The second elder glared at Jianqin and yelled, "Let's not even talk about the fact that you haven't officially become the ruler of my Turtle Clan. Just your decision is enough to lead my Turtle Clan to destruction. You've already caused the death of the Grand Elder. Do you want to harm the entire Turtle Clan?" The third elder also yelled out. He did not hold back at all. Jianqin ignored the objections of the two elders. He glanced at the clansmen in the surroundings and loudly said, "May I ask if everyone supports my decision or the two elders? Just think about how glorious our Turtle Clan was in the past. Although we're a tribe now, we will never yield to anyone and support the ruler." Chapter 906. We support all the decisions of the ruler. We support all the decisions of the ruler. The clansmen of the Turtle Clan all began to shout. Their voices grew louder and louder, and in the end, almost all the clansmen had joined in, fully supporting the decision of the ruler of the Turtle Clan. The expressions of the second and third elders became extremely ugly. They had never thought that the situation would develop like this. This was definitely not something they wanted to see. We underestimated the status of the ruler in the hearts of the ordinary clansmen far too much. The status of the ruler in the hearts of the ordinary clansmen has far surpassed the two of us. the third elder said to the second elder with a heavy voice. The second elder slowly nodded his head. His face was gloomy, and he didn't say anything. The former glory of the Turtle clan had been brought about by the ruler. During their most prosperous period, the Turtle clan had produced 4 rulers in a single generation. Every single one of them was at the level of a hall elder. They were one of the few supreme clans in the Sea Realm. With the disappearance of the rulers, the number of rulers that appeared decreased, which led to the gradual decline of the Turtle clan. They were weaker with each generation. It had already been 30,000 years since a ruler had appeared in the Turtle clan, causing them to gradually decline from being a peak clan in the Sea Realm. Before long, they would become a second-rate clan without a 15-star expert or even a third-rate clan. Their status would be unreachable. Not to mention that the Turtle clan was now under the threat of being swallowed up by the Taihong clan. Under such despairing circumstances, the reappearance of the ruler of the Turtle clan naturally received the support of many clansmen. Many people even believed that the decline of the Turtle clan had come to an end and that the ruler would lead them back to their former glory before long. The expressions of all the people of the Taihong clan became extremely ugly. The ancestor's face was so sunken that it was about to drip. He had already bribed the second and third elders with something that tempted them. The plan to swallow the Turtle clan this time was something that he and the 2 elders had planned long ago. It had originally progressed very smoothly, and the plan that was about to succeed had been ruined by a ruler of the Turtle clan that had appeared out of nowhere. This made him extremely furious. Since the ruler of the Turtle clan has not agreed to join my Taihong clan, we can only offend you. Once we capture you, I'd like to see if your Turtle clan will submit or not, the ancestor said with a deep voice. The ancestor of the Taihong clan said in a deep voice. Then, in a flash, he appeared in front of Genshin and reached out to grab him. Genshin's expression was calm and collected. He took out a token from his interspatial ring and held it before his eyes, saying, "Take a look at what this is." The Taihong clan's ancestor's hand stopped 3 inches away from Genshin's neck. He stared at the token in Genshin's hand with a look of bewilderment. However, in the next moment, the Taihong clan's ancestor's expression changed drastically. He took a few steps back, his face filled with shock and disbelief. "Your Highness, Your Highness, Your Highness, Your Highness, Your Highness, Your Highness." The Taihong clan's old ancestor let out a horrified cry. His face had already turned pale, and he was unable to utter the second word of the hall master. It was as if his throat was stuck. Everyone in the surroundings became doubtful when they saw how the ancestor of the Taihong clan had lost his composure. Even the second and third elders of the Turtle clan were no exception. They all extended their necks and curiously studied the token in Genshin's hand. "Do you recognize this?" Genshin raised the token and asked emotionlessly. The ancestor of the Taihong clan was a holy emperor after all, so he calmed down very quickly. He sucked in a deep breath and stared at the token in Genshin's hand in fright. He said, "Why do you have this token?" This time the ancestor of the Taihong clan looked at Genshin in a completely different light. "Why do I have this token? I think you already know the answer. Are you bold enough to attack me now?" Genshin coldly asked. The grand ancestor of the Taihong clan had a strong fear in his eyes as he slowly took a few steps back. The light in his eyes flickered as he hesitated for a moment before saying, "Although you are a member of the Divine Hall and have an extraordinary identity and position in the Divine Hall, this is only a dispute between our clans. The Divine Hall will not interfere in this matter." Genshin slightly frowned when he heard that. He said nothing. The ancestor of the Taihong clan continued, "For the sake of this medallion, I'll give your Turtle clan 5 years. After 5 years, my Taihong clan will come again. At that time, it will be useless even if you take out the medallion again." Genshin stowed the token away and coldly said, 5 years it is. After 5 years, I will fight you as the ruler of the Turtle clan. If I am defeated, the Turtle Clan will temporarily submit to your Taihong clan. If I emerge victorious, your Taihong clan will be controlled by the Turtle Clan." Jianshin's words immediately caused a great uproar. A few of the experts present could vaguely sense Jianshin's strength. He was definitely not at the 15th star of the Poseidon, so it was impossible for him to increase his strength by much in just 5 years. They wondered just how Jianshin would be able to fight the 16th star ancestor of the Taihong clan in 5 years. The second and third elders of the Turtle Clan secretly rejoiced. They definitely did not believe that Jianshin could become a 16th star expert in 5 years. "All right, Taido will fight you in 5 years." The ancestor of the Taihong clan remained the same on the surface, but he secretly rejoiced inside. As a holy emperor of the 5th heavenly layer, he could clearly see Jianshin's strength. He definitely did not believe that Jianshin could increase his strength to a level where he could fight against him in 5 years. The people of the Taihong clan left the Turtle Clan, but the entire clan rejoiced. A few clansmen who did not know Jianshin's strength actually believed that their ruler possessed the strength to fight against 16th star experts. They all cheered for their ruler. Jianshin calmed everyone down. He glanced past the second elder, third elder, and the saint rulers with a sharp gaze. He loudly said, "Is there anyone who refuses to accept me as the ruler?" "We welcome the ruler." Deafening cries immediately rang out in the surroundings. In the blink of an eye, the surroundings were filled with ordinary clansmen. Only a few saint rulers and the second and third elders did not kneel. Jianshin said nothing. He calmly stared at the people. His gaze was sharp like 2 unsheathed swords. "We welcome the ruler." After a moment of stalemate, half of the saint rulers knelt as well, acknowledging Jianshin's identity. Only the other half, the second and third elders, remained standing. The second and third elders had ugly expressions. They were extremely sunken, while the saint rulers behind them all looked at the two of them. Clearly, they were following their lead. "Let's go." The second elder coldly snorted and left with a swing of his hand. The third elder and the other saint rulers did not stick around either. They all left with the second elder. The second and third elders understood that they could not change anything now that the situation had developed like this. The ruler had already won the support of all the clansmen, so they could not change anything even if they used the unknown ruler's identity as the ruler of the Turtle Clan as an excuse, because the ruler's presence was genuine. It was not fake at all. Even the ordinary clansmen could sense it clearly. Jianshin becoming the ruler of the Turtle Clan had already become a fact that could not be changed. After naturally becoming the ruler of the Turtle Clan, Jianshin settled down in the clan. He planned on focusing all his efforts on cultivation, hoping that he could break through the second layer of the chaotic body and reach the third layer in 5 years. At that time, he would possess the power to fight against a 5th heavenly layer expert, like the Holy Emperor with a saint armament. The news of the new ruler of the Turtle Clan spread very quickly. At that moment, a few second-rate clans in the surroundings all sent representatives with great gifts to congratulate him. However, Jianshin left all these miscellaneous matters to his subordinates. He did not appear personally, hiding in his resplendent palace to cultivate. The next day, the hall elder, Elder Hong, came to the Turtle Clan in search of Jianshin. When Jianshin learned that Elder Hong had personally come, he immediately stopped cultivating and received him in the hall. "Jianshin, do you have the last fragment of the 8 wastelands?" Elder Hong cut to the chase and directly asked. "Correct. I do have a fragment of the 8 wastelands. Has Elder Hong specially come for this?" Jianshin asked. Elder Hong nodded with a smile on his face and said, "I am indeed here today for this matter. Jianshin, the Octaterra Divine Hall will open in a year's time, and only those below the 15th star can enter. Each fragment can allow 20 people to enter, so 8 fragments can allow a total of 160 people to enter the Divine Hall. I've come this time to ask you for 10 spots to enter the Divine Hall. Do you have any objections? No problem, of course not. Jianchen agreed without any hesitation. There were only 3 of them, so 20 spots would not be enough. Not to mention, he owed his life to Hall Poseidon. Elder Hong did not stay for even a moment longer. He left the Turtle Clan very soon. With Elder Hong's departure, Jianchen continued to cultivate in seclusion. He worked hard to increase his strength. If he wanted to revive the Turtle Clan, he needed great strength. Strength was what determined everything. Unknowingly, Jianchen had already spent over a month in the Sea Realm. At this moment, a tower several hundred meters tall had appeared in Changyang Prefecture of Lore City in the Kingdom of Jessen on the distant Tian-Yuan continent. Standing at the very top of the tower, one could basically see half of the city. The appearance of the tower in Changyang Prefecture had caused quite a stir in Lore City. This was because the tower had not been constructed slowly. Instead, it had appeared overnight, as if it had grown out of the ground. At this moment, Changyang Ziyun sat by the window in a white dress at the very top of the tower. She stared blankly in the direction of the main entrance of Changyang Prefecture as deep sorrow filled her eyes. She had basically sat there every day for several days and nights. She did not move at all, as if she had been petrified. Chapter 907. At this moment, several hundred kilometers away from Lore City, an old man flew through the air. He moved extremely quickly, having fused with the surrounding space. Using spatial force, he could cross several kilometers in the blink of an eye. Kingdom of Jessen, I've returned. Lore City, I've returned. Changyang Prefecture. After so many years, I wonder if you still remember me, the Changyang ancestor, sighed the old man in the air. He was Changyang Zhu Yinkong, who had just returned from overseas. He was the person who had founded Changyang Prefecture in Lore City and was known as the Changyang ancestor. After leaving Three Saint Island, Changyang Zhu Yinkong had directly made his way to the Tian-Yuan continent. After over a month and crossing several tens of millions of kilometers, he had finally returned to the Tian-Yuan continent. In the past, Changyang Zhu Yinkong believed that he would never be able to return to the Tian-Yuan continent again. Now that he had returned, he felt extremely emotional and mixed emotions. Finally, Lore City could be vaguely seen up ahead. Changyang Zhu Yinkong's excitement had reached its limit as he stared at the huge city. Arg! Changyang Zhu Yinkong struggled to suppress his emotions. He bellowed out at the sky. His voice shook the sky and reverberated through the surroundings, spreading far and wide as if he wanted to vent all the frustration he had kept bottled up all these years. Afterward, he radiated with a tremendous presence and shot toward Changyang Prefecture like an arrow. Changyang Ziyunshao and Changyang Ziyun stood before the window of the huge tower in Changyang Prefecture. They blankly stared at the prosperous Changyang Prefecture below. Suddenly, Changyang Ziyunshao's eyes narrowed. He raised his head slightly and looked into the distance. He could already sense the presence of a saint ruler rapidly approaching them, but he did not care. As long as he doesn't cause trouble in Lore City, I'll just let him be, thought Changyang Ziyunshao. Changyang Prefecture was located in Lore City. With the two of them in charge of Changyang Prefecture, they had gradually become the protectors of Lore City. Even in the Kingdom of Jessen, their status had skyrocketed. I've successfully become a saint, and my lifespan has been extended by another 2,000 years. I wonder if my parents are doing well. When I have the time, I'll definitely make a trip back to the Guardian clan to visit them. However, with my current appearance, I wonder if they can still recognize me. Flying high in the sky, Changyang Zhu Yinkong thought of many things. His feelings were extremely conflicted and complicated. Changyang Zhu Yinkong entered Lore City with great fanfare. He slowly made his way to the empty space in the center of Changyang Prefecture. The current Changyang Prefecture is indeed much stronger than before. All of this is brought about by my talented great-grandson. Changyang Zhu Yinkong constantly studied the rebuilt Changyang Prefecture. He was unable to contain his excitement. "How dare you? Who are you? How dare you enter my Changyang Prefecture through the main entrance? Don't you know the rules of my Changyang Prefecture?" As soon as Changyang Zhu Yunkong landed in the spacious square of Changyang Prefecture, a large group of guards immediately surrounded him with orderly footsteps. They surrounded Changyang Zhu Yunkong with cold, murderous looks on their faces. Changyang Zhu Yunkong could not help but smile when he saw the quality of the guards. Whether it was in terms of unity or strength, the guards were much more powerful than before. He even discovered over a dozen Earth Saint Masters among the guards. This was a strength that he had never possessed before. Just when Changyang Zhu Yunkong wanted to say something, the space around him suddenly froze. It firmly restrained him, immobilizing him. He even lost the ability to speak. While Changyang Zhu Yunkong was shocked, he saw a white-robed, middle-aged man slowly descend from the tower. He was Changyang Zhu Yunshao. Changyang Zhu Yunkong's eyes immediately became stunned when he saw Changyang Zhu Yunshao. Disbelief filled his eyes as well as great excitement. Although it had been many years, Changyang Zhu Yunshao's appearance had not changed at all, so Changyang Zhu Yunkong recognized him with a single glance. Changyang Zhu Yunshao looked at the old man who had boldly barged into Changyang Prefecture. He could not help but frown slightly. He felt like the old man gave him an extremely familiar feeling, as if he had seen him somewhere before. However, he could swear that he had never seen the old man before. No one is allowed to barge into Changyang Prefecture. Leave immediately and enter through the main entrance, or don't blame me for being rude. Changyang Zhu Yunshao suppressed his doubts and said emotionlessly. However, just when Changyang Zhu Yunshao wanted to send the old man away with a wave of his hand, he saw Changbo pass by the guards as a caretaker. He arrived before the bound Changyang Zhu Yunkong as a blur. Changbo stared at Changyang Zhu Yunkong in a daze. His old face became filled with excitement at that moment. He said with a trembling voice, "Master, Master, you finally returned. You finally returned." Two streams of tears uncontrollably rolled down Changbo's face. He then suddenly dropped to his knees and emotionally said, "Master, you finally returned." The surrounding guards were stunned by the scene in front of them. Everyone looked at each other, their expressions full of shock. Changbo was the most senior person in Changyang Prefecture. Although he was not the patriarch, even the patriarch had to treat Changbo courteously. Yet now Changbo, who possessed a great status in Changyang Prefecture, had actually addressed an old man they had never seen before. This left all of them tongue-tied. Changyang Zhu Yunkong's face suddenly changed as his heart churned. He was unable to remain calm. He stared at the old man who had barged into Changyang Prefecture in disbelief and said with a trembling voice, Why, you're Kong? Ah. As he spoke, Changyang Zhu Yunshao released the restraints on Changyang Zhu Yunkong, allowing him to regain control over his body. The graceful Changyang Zhu Yun quickly descended from the sky in a white dress. She stared at Changyang Zhu Yunkong's old face in a daze, as her face was filled with excitement and disbelief. Why, you're Kong, Are you really Kong, Changyang Zhu Yun's voice trembled as two streams of tears flowed from her eyes. Disbelief filled her face. When Changyang Zhu Yunkong had left the Protector clan, he still retained his appearance of being in his 20s. His face had always been deeply imprinted in the minds of the two of them, such that they could never forget it. Now that they had met again, Changyang Zhu Yunkong had become an old man covered in wrinkles. The great contrast completely overturned the hopes the couple had for him, almost causing them to fail to recognize him. Changyang Zhu Yunkong looked at Changyang Zhu Yun and Changyang Zhu Yunshao with mixed feelings. He knelt on the ground and said with a trembling voice, Father, Mother, Kong, has been unfilial. I've made the two of you worry. Kong, it really is you. Changyang Zuyun struggled to contain her excitement after his identity was confirmed. She rushed over to Changyang Zuyunkong, and the two of them hugged each other tightly. Kong, my child, you've finally returned. I've missed you so much. I thought I would never see you again. Changyang Zuyun choked with sobs. Her excitement and joy had swelled to the limit. Changyang Zuyunshao also cried as he stood to one side. He was extremely emotional as he murmured, "It's good as long as you're back. It's good as long as you're back. Kong, it's been hard on you these past few years. Master, you finally returned. I thought I would never see you again." Changbo emotionally cried out as well. The guards gathered in the surroundings all became dumbfounded as they watched this dramatic scene unfold before them. A few of the more intelligent captains immediately guessed Changyang Zuyunkong's identity. They immediately knelt down and greeted, "Greetings to the former patriarch." "Greetings to the former patriarch." The other guards all returned to their senses and knelt down. Afterward, all the other important figures and senior members of Changyang Prefecture hurried over after hearing the news. They all came to see the return of the Changyang ancestor. Kong, wasn't there a seal in your head that prevented you from reaching sainthood? How did you break through to Saint Ruler now? Changyang Zuyunshao asked after the three of them gradually calmed down. His face was filled with doubt. Changyang Zuyun discovered this as well and immediately became surprised. She said, "Kong, you've actually become a Saint Ruler. Has the seal in your head been removed?" Changyang Zuyunkong thought of Genshin as soon as this matter was mentioned. He immediately smiled happily and said, "Father, Mother, it's all thanks to a great-grandson called Changyang Shoten that I was able to become a Saint Ruler. It was him who risked his life to enter the depths of the sea of illusory stars to obtain 100,000-year-old dragon saliva grass for me. He used the dragon saliva grass to suppress the power of the seal, allowing me to become a Saint Ruler in the end." Changyang Shoten. It's actually him. Changyang Zuyun and Changyang Zuyunshao softly murmured. They both smiled happily before taking Changyang Zuyunkong into the tower. The tower was enveloped by a barrier personally cast down by Changyang Zuyunshao, preventing any sound from leaking out. The family of three chatted for an entire day in the tower. During that time, Changyang Zuyunkong told them everything that had happened after he had left the clan. At the same time, he gained a clear understanding of the recent disturbance on the Tianyuan continent from the two of them, including the news of his great-grandson, Changyang Shoten, and the winged tiger. Even with Changyang Zuyunkong's mental fortitude, he struggled to remain calm after learning all of this. He could not help but gasp. However, he soon began to worry about his great-grandson's safety. After all, the people looking for him were the 10 most ancient protector clans on the Tianyuan continent. Xiangtian is already in the Sea Realm. Kong, you don't have to worry about his safety for now. At the very least, experts like the Holy Emperor can't enter the Sea Realm. He'll be relatively safer hiding there," comforted Changyang Zuyunshao when he saw how worried Changyang Zuyunkong was. The return of the Changyang ancestor caused the entire Changyang prefecture to rejoice. The next morning, the king rushed over in a hurry after receiving the news. He paid a visit to the Changyang ancestor, but by the time he arrived in Changyang prefecture, Changyang Zuyunkong had already left the kingdom of Jessen with his parents. They had gone to the protector clans so that the great elders could remove the seal on him. Chapter 908. At the same time, several tens of thousand kilometers away, there was an extremely well-hidden room several hundred meters underground in the depths of the forest of the Huanggu clan. Several fist-sized luminous pearls were embedded in the ceiling of the room. They shone with a hazy light, adding some color to the pitch-black room. At this moment, a woman in yellow robes sat on the ground and cultivated in a dimly lit room. She was beautiful and possessed a face that could topple nations. She sat in the center of the room with her eyes closed like a stone statue. Strands of powerful and pure water-attributed energy radiated from her, causing the entire room to be filled with a faint mist. Fine droplets of water had even condensed on the walls of the room. The woman was Huang Luan. She had been brought here from the Huang family by the ancestor of the Huanggu clan under the guise of a master teaching a disciple. Since then, she had been cultivating in the room. At this moment, the door to the secret room slowly opened. An old man in simple clothes walked in from outside. His appearance was ordinary, but his eyes were brimming with vigor. He looked at Huang Luan with a sliver of hidden desire and greed. Huang Luan, who was sitting cross-legged on the ground and cultivating, slowly opened her eyes. Her phoenix eyes were full of intelligence as she looked at the old man who walked in from outside. She slowly stood up from the ground and cupped her hands towards the old man. She said, "Master." The old man was the ancestor of the Huanggu clan. He stared at Huang Luan with a smile and gently asked, "Disciple, how is your cultivation going?" "Thank you for your concern, Master. The scripture of the aquatic sunflower suits me very well. I've only cultivated it for a few short days, yet my strength has increased by a lot. However, I possess water-attributed Saint Force. If I can cultivate in a place with dense water-attributed energy of the world, it should be even faster. I hope Master can allow me to find an excellent place to cultivate," Huang Luan said. Her voice was filled with liveliness, like the cries of a skylark. It was extremely pleasant. The ancestor of the Huanggu clan smiled. "My disciple, you have to remember that everything needs to be done gradually. Your cultivation speed is already extremely fast right now, so you can't be too hasty. Otherwise, you might end up destroying your foundation. Just cultivate here for now. It'll prevent the outside world from interfering." "Master." Huang Luan still wanted to say something, but she was interrupted by the ancestor as soon as she opened her mouth. "All right, my disciple, I won't disturb you anymore. Cultivate well and try to become a Saint King as soon as possible." With that, the ancestor left. The door to the secret room closed once again. Huang Luan's beautiful figure stood alone in the middle of the dark secret room. Suddenly, a book appeared in her hand. She casually flipped through it a few times and muttered in a low voice, "Why did Master give me the entire heavenly scripture of the sunflower dew? Why did he only give me a small portion of the first half?" Huang Luan looked around and the light in her eyes flickered. She could clearly sense that the surroundings of the room had been enveloped by an invisible barrier. The barrier had completely fused with the earth, so it was impossible to see through. Even if she wanted to get through it, she would need to destroy the outer layer of earth first. Is this barrier used by Master to protect the room from the outside world? Or... Huang Luan pondered. She was rather confused. However, Huang Luan tossed those thoughts aside very soon. She sat down in the center of the room again and thought, "I've already reached the 5th cycle of Earth Saint Master. With this speed, I'll reach the 6th cycle before long, and then I'll reach Heaven Saint Master. I need to work hard in the next period of time and reach Saint Ruler as soon as possible. Only then will I be able to help Jianqin." With that thought, Huang Luan's face darkened. Jianqin's handsome face appeared in her head again. She began to miss him. "Jianqin, everyone on the Tianyuan continent is looking for you right now. Where are you? You must be having a tough time." 50,000 kilometers away from the Jessin Kingdom, in the encampment of the Flame Mercenaries, tens of thousands of people were busy with the construction of a city. After years of hard work, the Flame Mercenaries had already completed 3/4 of the construction of this tungsten alloy city. The city walls had already reached a height of over 70 meters. Although it wasn't finished yet, there was already a majestic aura contained within. The Flame Mercenaries were like the midday sun right now. They had already become the greatest organization in a radius of several 100,000 kilometers. They possessed 2 saint rulers, so even the hermit clans dared not to provoke them easily. Their relationship with the Changyang Prefecture made all the ancient clans fear them. Currently, the Flame Mercenaries had expanded to over 300,000 people. Although it was nowhere near the size of an army from a small kingdom, they were without a doubt the strongest. Every single member of the mercenaries possessed great battle prowess. Every single one of them was far more powerful than any soldier from a kingdom. At the same time, there were several hundred Earth Saint Masters and over 40 Heaven Saint Masters. They were the rulers of the region, without a doubt. Currently, Yu Yu and Bai Lian were sitting in the renovated Imperial Palace of Raging Flame City. They were extremely bored. After all these years of hard work, the Flame Mercenaries were on the right track. The two of them had already handed many matters over to their subordinates. Only when they encountered some difficult matters would it be their turn to deal with them. As a result, their days were extremely relaxed, no longer as tiring as before. I wonder where my brother is right now, and when will I be able to see him? Bai Lian gently sighed as she sat before the table. A sliver of longing appeared on her face. Hearing this, Sima Yu Yu, who was sitting at the side, revealed a faint trace of sadness and loneliness. She sighed softly. I hope he can return safely. I will always be here waiting for him and help him manage the foundation he once built. The Raging Flame mercenary group is his shadow once left behind here. Sister Yu Yu, once my brother returns and sees the current scale of the Flame Mercenaries, I think he'll definitely be extremely happy. Sister Yu Yu has done far too much for the Flame Mercenaries, Bai Lian sweetly smiled. A sweet smile appeared on Sima Yu Yu's face. She smiled but didn't say anything. Her gaze was fixed on the boundless sky outside. There was a trace of sadness hidden deep in her eyes. In the past, I was rejected by you more than once with the same reason. Now, I can completely understand your difficulties. Back then, you seemed to be doing well on the surface, but mentally, you were under a huge amount of pressure. I don't know if you'll marry me after you come back and solve all your problems. I know that this marriage was decided by my father back then. Perhaps I've never left a mark in your heart. Perhaps I'm more like a normal friend to you. But Chindino, I already have you in my heart. No matter what, I can't get rid of it. Chin smiled bitterly. Several kilometers away from Flame City, over a dozen middle-aged men rode Class 5 magical beasts in a row. They stood on a hill as they gazed at the city up ahead. The Flame Mercenaries, sure, are wealthy. They've actually built a city entirely out of tungsten alloy. Just this city alone would be a priceless treasure on the Tianyuan continent. A burly middle-aged man in blue robes sighed emotionally. If any other organization obtained so much tungsten alloy, they probably wouldn't even have the time to hide it. Only the Flame Mercenaries are fearless enough to build a city so openly, a middle-aged man with fiery red hair sighed. A middle-aged man with long, fiery red hair also sighed, and his expression was full of envy. A strange smile appeared on the face of a young man who seemed to be in his 20s. He said, "Everyone, I have not invited all of you here from so far away just to see Flame City." Hearing this, the dozen or so middle-aged men, standing on both sides of the young man, looked at each other one after another. Soon after, one of them respectfully cupped his hands towards the young man who spoke and said, "Could it be that the prince called us here for some other purpose?" "That's right. This king indeed has other motives for calling all of you here to observe Raging Flame City. I wonder if all of you have ever thought of taking over this city, made entirely of tungsten alloy?" A sinister smile appeared at the corner of Progenitus King's mouth. Hearing this, the expressions of the dozen or so middle-aged men abruptly changed. One of them immediately spoke up. "Bibi Wang, it's not like you don't know the background of the Flame Mercenaries. Although our mercenaries aren't weak, even if you gave us several hundred times more courage, we still wouldn't dare have any designs on the Flame Mercenaries." "Yeah, King. Ignoring the fact that the Flame Mercenaries have the support of the 10 protector clans of the Changyang Prefecture, I've also heard that they have a close relationship with the esteemed Grand Elder of Mercenary City. Even if we were bold enough, we wouldn't dare to touch the Flame Mercenaries." That would just be courting death. Someone immediately agreed. Their eyes were filled with fear. The king sneered, "What are you afraid of? Since I've called all of you here to discuss this matter, I'll obviously take care of these worries for you." That's right. The 10 protector clans of the Chanyang Prefecture are indeed very powerful, but the purpose of their existence is to protect the Tianyuan continent. They've made an agreement that they can't interfere with anything on the Tianyuan continent unless it concerns the safety of the continent. I can guarantee that if the people of the Chanyang Prefecture interfere when you fight for Flame City, the other 9 protector clans will definitely not sit by and watch. The Chanyang Prefecture has quite the conflict with the other protector clans because of the Winged Tiger. You don't have to worry about Mercenary City. The purpose of Mercenary City's existence is basically the same as the protector clans. Although the Grand Elder of Mercenary City is the person with the greatest authority and status, his every word and action represents the actions of Mercenary City. If he dares to interfere with the matters of Flame City, even if the other protector clans don't agree to it, just the voice of the Grand Elder is enough to restrict his actions. King, are you sure that the other protector clans will stop him from interfering with the matters of the Flame Mercenaries? A middle-aged man asked in worry. Chapter 909. The breathing of the middle-aged men beside him became ragged when they heard what the king had said. They no longer felt any fear when they looked at the city that was being constructed. It had been replaced by thick greed. King, if the protector clans and Mercenary City really won't interfere with the matters of Flame City, what do we have to fear? A middle-aged man immediately said emotionally. Flame City was a city completely forged from tungsten alloy. Even with the entire continent in perspective, it was enough to make everyone jealous, let alone the hermit clans with saint rulers. Even the ancient clans with holy emperor experts coveted it. The reason why they did not touch the Flame Mercenaries was because they feared the protector clans of Chanyang Prefecture and Mercenary City. If it were not for the support of these 2 organizations, it would have been impossible for the Flame Mercenaries to possess such a large tungsten alloy mine. All right, as long as the Flame Mercenaries don't have any other powerful reinforcements, the Armageddon Mercenaries will do it as well. Afterward, the middle-aged men all expressed their intentions. Every single one of them was the captain of a large mercenary group. They had a history of over 1,000 years, or even several thousand years. Although they were only Heaven Saint Masters, they had many retired captains behind them. There were even saint rulers among them. More than half of the captains of the large mercenary groups had been drawn in by the allure of Flame City. They had all signed up to participate in the operation to seize Flame City. Only a few of them remained hesitant, not planning on participating at all. The king looked at the captains coldly before looking at the city up ahead. He said, "The city will probably be completed in another year. Once it's completed, it will be time for you to take over. At that time, I will ask my father and a great elder of the Yuan sect to personally cast down a space gate and send your people over from several million kilometers away." That's great. With the help of the 2 esteemed seniors, it will be a piece of cake for our men to reach this place. The mercenary group leaders were all overjoyed. The heavenly enchantress beauty was astounding on the tallest mountain on 3 Saint Island. She currently sat on the edge of a cliff in a violet dress. She placed the zither of the demonic cry on a flat and smooth surface as she gently plucked the strings with her slender fingers, producing a pleasant melody. The veil covering the heavenly enchantress' face had already vanished, revealing her beauty that even the heavens would be jealous of. Her hair slowly drifted in the wind around her ears, obscuring a small portion of her face. It added a different kind of beauty to her appearance. The sound of the zither was like a piece of heavenly music mixed with demonic sounds. It reverberated through the mountains, bringing with it a deep sense of sorrow and misery. It could uncontrollably affect the emotions of others, making them feel sad. The soft sound of the zither spread through the mountain forest. All the small animals that heard the sound of the zither quietened down and stopped looking for food. They laid on the ground and quietly listened to what seemed to be the most beautiful music in the world. The sad tone, mixed with the zither sound, even made some small animals shed sparkling tears. "What's wrong with Master? Why is she so sad for no reason?" The white-robed Xiao Yu stared in the heavenly enchantress direction. Her face was filled with doubt. "I can feel that Master seems to be really sad and sad. It's really strange. Why would Master have such emotions?" To the side, Xiao Qian blinked her bright eyes as she asked in doubt. The two of them were perplexed as to why the heavenly enchantress would feel like this for no reason. The sorrowful sound of the zither slowly came to a stop. The heavenly enchantress had already stopped playing on the edge of the cliff. She gently pressed her hands against the strings as she stared at the horizon in the distance with rather empty eyes. Her emotions were extremely mixed. Sigh. After quite a while, the heavenly enchantress let out a long sigh. She murmured, "Should I hate or not?" The heavenly enchantress' feelings were extremely mixed. Suddenly, the heavenly enchantress' eyes narrowed. She suddenly looked into the distance and gently swung her arm. Space was immediately ripped open, quickly forming a space gate. Through the space gate, she could vaguely see a boundless continent on the other side. It was the Tianyuan continent. The heavenly enchantress stepped through the space gate and vanished. She had crossed a great distance and arrived on the Tianyuan continent. Within the Tianqin clan of Walorant City of the Jia Kingdom, the second child of the Tianqin clan, Qin Qin, was sitting alone in a pavilion in the garden, playing a zither. The pleasant sound of the zither gently drifted through the garden. Although Qin Qin's music was far from being able to control people's souls, it could still drive people's emotions and affect people's moods. People couldn't help but be intoxicated by her music. Qin Qin's zither was exactly the same as the heavenly enchantress zither of the demonic cry. It had the same color, the same size, and the same 36 strings. It seemed like the real thing. "Young Master Jianqin, where are you right now? Are you still well?" Qin Qin could not help but think of Jian Chen's resolute, handsome face. It was filled with deep longing. Perhaps because of her mood, her zither music from the Tan Plain also contained a sliver of longing and concern. "Qin, you're playing the zither here again." A heavy voice rang out from behind her. The patriarch of the Tianqin clan had silently arrived behind Qin Qin. He stared at her with a smile. Qin Qin said nothing. She did not stop playing her zither, as if she did not hear the voice behind her. "Qin, you'll be engaged to the first young master of the Zhuyin clan in 3 days. You better go prepare." The patriarch of the Tianqin clan smiled. The music came to a halt. Qin Qin's gentle but firm voice rang out, "Father, I don't want to get married." "Qin, you're not young anymore. It's time for you to get married. It's just a pity that you can't cultivate, so your lifespan is only as long as an ordinary person's. Otherwise, I wouldn't be forcing you like this," the patriarch of the Tianqin clan said. He was also filled with helplessness. "But I don't like the first young master of the Zhuyin clan. Do you want to force me to marry someone I don't like?" Qin Qin's voice was filled with pain. Sigh. The patriarch of the Tianqin clan sighed. He was at a loss for words. At this moment, a tremendous pressure suddenly surged over, enveloping the entire Tianqin clan. Before the pressure, all the guards of the clan immediately felt like they were being crushed by a boulder, making it difficult for them to even move. They had already lost the ability to battle. Even a few Earth Saint Masters felt the same. They were firmly suppressed by the pressure, unable to move at all. The only person who was not affected by the pressure was probably the second young lady, Qin Qin. At this moment, a woman in a purple dress with a veil over her face descended from the sky. She was like a goddess from the heavens, filled with nobility and sacredness. The woman hugged her zither as she hovered 3 meters above the ground. Only her eyes that were exposed stared at Qin without any emotion. She said, "Are you willing to accept me as your master?" At that moment, the master of the Tianqin family had already been bound by the space that had frozen at some unknown time. He was unable to move at all. He stared at the mysterious woman who had descended from the sky in shock. His heart churned, and he could not say anything. Qin stared at the woman hovering in the air in shock. Her gaze quickly settled on the guqin in the woman's arms. The guqin was exactly the same as the one she used. Why? You're the heavenly enchantress." Qin recognized her from the zither music and immediately cried out. The heavenly enchantress nodded slightly and nonchalantly said, "I've been drawn over by your zither music. We're fated to meet, so are you willing to accept me as your master?" "I'm willing." Disciple Qin greets master. Qin agreed in a hurry. She had always liked playing the zither, and the heavenly enchantress was a goddess of the zither. She had once dreamed of becoming the heavenly enchantress disciple. So how could she give up now that the opportunity was right before her? "If you accept me as your master, you'll have to come with me to the distant sea to cultivate. Have you thought it through?" asked the heavenly enchantress. Qin hesitated for a while. Her face was filled with reluctance, but she soon became determined. "I'm willing to leave the clan and go to the sea with master. However, master, please allow me to bid farewell to my family." The pressure from the heavenly enchantress had vanished. At the same time, she released the restraints on the people of the Tianqin clan. The patriarch of the Tianqin clan politely bowed to the heavenly enchantress before looking at Qin. He asked, "Qin, do you really want to leave the clan?" Qin nodded with determination. She said, "Father, you know that I can't cultivate. I only like playing the zither. Only by following master can my fate change." The patriarch of the Tianqin clan fell silent for quite a while before letting out a long sigh. "Whatever. Qin, go in peace. You just have to come back and visit your father often when you have the time. I'll discuss your marriage with the first young master of the Zhuyun clan and cancel the engagement." At this moment, a large group of people ran over from all directions. The person in the lead was the first young master of the Tianqin clan, Qin Xiao. Qin immediately told everyone that she had become the heavenly enchantress disciple before bidding farewell to everyone. She knew that she had no idea how long it would take for her to return. After all, they were tens of millions of kilometers away from the sea. Even if saint rulers traveled without rest, they would still need to spend over a month to get back. "Sister, I respect your decision. Once I become a heaven saint master, I'll come find you." Qin Zhao's eyes were brimming with tears. He was extremely reluctant to part with Qin. Chapter 9-10. In the beginning, the heavenly enchantress did not pay much attention to it. She only thought it was someone with the same name, but when she saw the person in the portrait, her eyes suddenly narrowed. She reached out with her right hand, and the portrait in Qin's hand immediately flew into her hand. The people of the Tianqin clan all became surprised when they saw the heavenly enchantress take away Jianqin's portrait. They all looked at the heavenly enchantress in doubt. The heavenly enchantress stared at the person in the portrait in a daze. A sliver of mixed feelings appeared on her face as she subconsciously blurted out, "Why do you have his portrait?" "Master, do you know Jianqin?" Qin's eyes lit up. She stared at the heavenly enchantress without blinking. The heavenly enchantress returned the portrait to Qin. She said nothing. Her face was covered by a veil, so it was impossible to see her expression. When the people of the Tianqin clan saw the heavenly enchantress expression, a few of them immediately began to worry. They were afraid that Jianqin had offended the heavenly enchantress in some way, which would affect their master-disciple relationship. Although that was what they all thought, none of them dared to say it out loud due to the heavenly enchantress' great status and reputation. Qin passed the portrait to Qin Xiao. After bidding farewell to the people of the clan in a hurry, She was taken away by the heavenly enchantress to Three Saint Island. In the sky above a primitive mountain range, the sky was clear and blue without a single cloud for thousands of kilometers. One could clearly see groups of flying magical beasts flying freely in the sky. From time to time, they would let out a few crisp and moving cries, echoing through the heavens and the earth and spreading far and wide. In the mountain forest, loud, beastly roars could be heard from time to time. Vaguely, one could see magical beasts chasing after their prey in the dense forest. Occasionally, the sounds of fierce fighting could be faintly heard, accompanied by bursts of powerful energy fluctuations. This was a battle between the high-class magical beasts that lived there. There were many Class 5 magical beasts among them. At this moment, the space in the azure sky began to distort violently. Afterwards, it was ripped apart by a powerful force, forming a multicolored space gate. 3 figures stepped out of the spatial gate. The one in the lead was a middle-aged man in a white robe. The middle-aged man looked calm, but he gave off a feeling that he was one with the world. It was as if he had perfectly merged with the space around him, making it easy for people to overlook his existence. Behind him was a beautiful middle-aged woman who was also wearing a white robe. She was graceful and luxurious, and she also had an aura that seemed to merge with the heavens and earth. However, it was not as dense as the middle-aged man's. The last person was an old man in his 70s with a face full of wrinkles. He looked like he was the elder of the 2 people in front of him. Kong, do you still remember this place? Our clan is hidden in this region of space. You can finally go home, Changyang Zuyun said emotionally with tears in her eyes. Changyang Zuyun Kong looked at the familiar landscape with mixed feelings. His emotions were extremely mixed as he murmured, I can finally go home. I can finally go home. I never thought that there would be a day when I, Changyang Zuyun Kong, would return to the clan. Changyang Zuyun Xiao could not help but smile as he looked at the emotional mother and son. A medallion appeared in his hand, and a pillar of light shot out from the medallion, directly striking the space several hundred meters away. The void there began to tremble violently. Gradually, a gate that was over 100 feet tall opened up. Through the gate, one could clearly see the ancient buildings that stood in all directions. This was where one of the 10 protector clans of the Tianyuan continent, Changyang Prefecture, was located. Yiyun Kong, let's go in. Changyang Zuyun Xiao immediately led the 2 of them into Changyang Prefecture. At this moment, a 10-meter-long sword was stabbed into the ground in the forbidden grounds behind Changyang Prefecture. The sword shone brightly as it radiated with powerful sword chi. It seemed like a supreme ruler looking down on the world. Around the divine sword, there was an extremely powerful barrier. The barrier completely enveloped the divine sword, completely isolating the tremendous aura that the divine sword emitted. No one noticed that when Changyang Zuyun Xiao opened up the space in Changyang Prefecture, the sword that had not moved for several hundred years actually trembled by an undetectable amount. Changyang Zuyun Xiao's family of 3 entered Changyang Prefecture in another region of space. As soon as they set foot in there, an azure-robed old man flew over with lightning speed, arriving before them in the blink of an eye. Yun Xiao, you're finally willing to return. I had thought that you were going to stay outside for the rest of your lives. The old man's voice was extremely calm. The old man's voice rang out. He was extremely calm, but his deep eyes constantly studied Changyang Zuyun Kong. He was surprised and doubtful. Great-grandfather, I've successfully brought Kong back. Kong, why don't you come greet your great-grandfather? Changyang Zuyun Xiao excitedly said. The old man was called Changyang Zu Xiao. He was the person with the highest seniority in the Zhu branch of Changyang Prefecture. Although he was also a great elder, there was a difference of 1,000 years between them. Moreover, Changyang Zuyun Xiao was a direct descendant of his. What did you say? He's Kong, Changyang Zu Xiao was filled with surprise. He stared at the old Changyang Zhu Yunkong in a daze. Changyang Zhu Yunkong took a step forward. Just when he was about to greet Changyang Zhu Shao, a supreme sword qi suddenly erupted from the depths of Changyang Prefecture. The entire space in Changyang Prefecture was greatly affected, and it began to violently tremble. Pitch-black spatial cracks appeared in the sky, interweaving with one another. The entire region was in danger of collapsing. Changyang Zhu Shao suddenly turned his head and gazed into the depths of Changyang Prefecture. At that moment, a profound light shone from his deep eyes as he heavily said, "Oh no, the Emperor Armament is going berserk. Yun Shao, come with me to the Forbidden Grounds to suppress the Emperor Armament, or this entire space will be destroyed." Changyang Zhu Shao shot toward the Forbidden Grounds as a streak of light. At the same time, the other great elders of Changyang Prefecture all hurried to the Forbidden Grounds. They were all extremely stern. Changyang Zhu Yunshao did not move. Instead, he stood where he was and stared in the direction of the Forbidden Grounds in a daze. He murmured, "Why? Why is it like this? The Emperor Armament has already existed for several 100,000 years. Nothing like this has ever happened before. So why has it gone berserk twice in less than 1,000 years? And these 2 times?" Changyang Zhu Yunshao hesitated. He looked at Changyang Zhu Yunkong with an extremely mixed expression. Changyang Zhiyun's face was bleak as tears flickered in her eyes. She painfully said, "Why has the Emperor Armament suddenly gone berserk as soon as Konger has returned? Aye, is it really like what the clansmen said in the past? Is Kong really the bane of our Changyang Prefecture? His existence will only bring disaster to our Changyang Prefecture." The space in Changyang Prefecture began to tremble more and more violently. All the clansmen were greatly alarmed. They all stopped cultivating and observed the situation in the Forbidden Grounds. "Oh no, the Emperor Armament can't be suppressed any longer. All the clansmen who have reached Saint Ruler must hurry to the Forbidden Grounds to assist. Yun Shao, why don't you come and help?" Changyang Zhu Zhao's voice rang out from the Forbidden Grounds in the distance. His voice was filled with worry. Changyang Zhu Yunkong stared in the direction of the Forbidden Grounds. The light in his eyes flickered as some doubt appeared on his face. Changyang Zhu Yunxiao's face was filled with pain. He slowly grabbed Changyang Zhu Yunkong's shoulder and sorrowfully said, "Kong, let's leave." Changyang Zhu Yunxiao brought Changyang Zhu Yunkong out of the space in Changyang Prefecture. Just as the 2 of them left the space in Changyang Prefecture, the Emperor Armament that had suddenly gone berserk gradually calmed down. It returned to peace very soon, as if nothing had happened at all. Everyone in Changyang Prefecture could not help but let out a sigh of relief when the Emperor Armament returned to peace. Only Changyang Zuyun and Changyang Zuyunshao felt extremely sorrowful. They were unable to cheer up no matter what. The great elders emerged from the Forbidden Grounds drenched in sweat. They all felt lingering fear. They had almost failed to suppress the Emperor Armament when they worked together earlier. Once the Emperor Armament broke free and wreaked havoc in the space, they struggled to imagine just how great of a disaster it would bring to Changyang Prefecture. That's strange. The Emperor Armament has never had a problem like this before. So why has it gone berserk twice recently? The first time was because a clansman had intruded on the Forbidden Grounds. So why has it gone berserk this time? A great elder asked in doubt. Changyang Zhu Shao seemed to think of something when he heard that. His face immediately changed as he said in a daze, Could it be what? Changyang Zhu Shao, do you know why the Emperor Armament has suddenly gone berserk? A great elder immediately asked. The other people all looked at Changyang Zhu Shao. The light in Changyang Zhu Zhao's eyes flickered. He said nothing and directly flew out of Changyang Prefecture. The other great elders all looked at each other before following closely behind Changyang Zhu Shao. The great elders left Changyang Prefecture together. When they arrived outside, they saw Chanyang Zuyun Shao, Chanyang Zuyun, and Chanyang Zuyun Shao with a single glance. They learned Chanyang Zuyun Kong's identity very soon. Yun Kong, so it's you. I finally understand why the Emperor armament has suddenly gone berserk. It's all because of your existence, a great elder said with a heavy voice. His complexion was very ugly. In all these years, the Emperor armament has only gone berserk twice. The first time was because you had intruded on the forbidden grounds and disturbed the Emperor armament. Today is the second time, and it's also because you've stepped into Chanyang Prefecture. Chanyang Zuyun Shao and Chanyang Zhu Yun's complexions became ugly. Their faces were filled with pain. Could it be that the clansmen are right? Chanyang Zuyunkong is the bane of our Chanyang Prefecture and will only bring disaster to our Chanyang Prefecture. Once he steps into our Chanyang Prefecture, the Emperor armament will expel him. Once the Emperor armament breaks free, he'll bring another devastating disaster to our Chanyang Prefecture, another great elder said with a heavy voice. Another great elder growled. His gaze toward Chanyang Zuyunkong immediately became unfriendly.